Fucked it all up.
I mean,
it up.
no. Actually, I have Golan and Globus to blame for
I
this.
think it was only one of
They
them.
slashed my
I think
budget.
was it both of them? I think this is part of the this
Uh,
is during the feud era of Menachem Golan, where they both split off and started producing
at the
their own movies.
at the start of it, it was definitely both because screenwriter Stephen Tolkien talked about
Mm.
that, and we can get into all that here today on the Waffle Press movie podcast retrospectives, failed superhero blockbusters. We're talking Albert Pune's Captain America. I'm your host, Diego Crespo. With me today is my co-host, Matt Garingo.
That's me.
All right, how was that intro?
It's good enough.
Okay. Historically speaking, this movie has not been called good enough. It has been called everything from the worst superhero movie ever made, one of the worst movies ever made. I certainly made fun of it when I found out about it in high school. And
Well,
for a
actually,
while,
I feel like the real response this movie has gotten is there was a Captain America movie.
that's the other one. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe that's more accurate now. Or people are barely finding out about this. I know certain people who, when I talked about, oh, I'm gonna go watch the director's cut of Albert Pune's Captain America a couple months back, they were like, "Which one is that?" And I was like, "Oh, that's right. People don't know.
I think people
They
are
also don't know J.D.
vaguely.
Salinger's son was Captain America."
Yeah, I think people are vaguely aware that another Captain America movie exists, but it also gets conflated with those like Reb Brown starring TV movies that were in the 70s, which I don't think anyone remembers really. Um,
No.
the only thing I think those movies have a cultural legacy is that Conan used to play clips of it on his show when they were like, "Hey, the new Captain America movie's coming out. We have a clip," and they would show a clip from that movie, obviously, and uh, it was terrible because it is. Christopher Lee's in the second one.
That's kind of perfect. Was he like a Hydra villain or something?
It's one of those movies where it's like it's got Captain America in it, and then zero other elements related to Captain America, from what I remember. Like, so
Oh, okay. That was just that era, like the
yeah,
Spider-Man show or whatever.
yeah, I don't even know what it is of just like people not giving a shit about the comics, or they just didn't have the rights to stuff. It is the weird thing of like Universal had the Hulk and Daredevil at one point, so they were able to do the Trial of the Incredible Hulk TV movie with Daredevil in it, right? Like, and
Mm-hmm.
but then like beyond that, I don't know if there's no other elements to the Hulk mythos in the Hulk TV show, is there?
I don't think so. There was never like the leader or anything.
Yeah, like it was this weird. There is this weird era where they just didn't do like they just had the character and then they didn't do anything from the comics, right? Uh,
Yeah, like for the Hulk show specifically, it was really more like those wandering western shows, where a
yeah,
hero would roll into town, solve a problem. They just did that with the Hulk, and great hook. I haven't revisited that show, but I should because I'm discovering I like the Hulk quite a bit, and I have not just even cinematically, but just the writer Stephen Tolkien was also up to do the 2003 movie at some
mm,
point, and then he said he couldn't crack it. And I'll talk a little bit more about him. I didn't know too much about him. His daughter is one of Film Twitter's best posters. She constantly updates about him, and I hope he's doing well. But I just saw him speaking about screening the director's cut of Captain America, and he spoke very kindly of Albert and his experience on the film, which was good until people start seeing the initial completed project, which we can get into.
well, we should maybe pull back a
Because
little bit because does anyone know any of the characters we're talking about?
oh yeah, okay, so let's here. Let's start with our basis. The man we're basically here to talk about today. We've brought him up briefly before, but this is kind of going to be a showcase today, I think. Matt, what is your history with Albert Pune?
Albert Pune is one of those weird guys where like I watched a dozen of his movies by the time I was 13 and didn't realize he directed all of them. Right? There's just a moment where you're like, oh, the same guy did The Sword and the Sorcerer and Cyborg, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
just, you know what I'm saying? Like you didn't realize that it was the same guy until way later, including this movie. I had seen this at some point. I can't even remember, but he did the Nemesis films, right? Uh,
Yeah.
and like I said, it's something where I didn't realize who the guy was until kind of reflecting on it way later. And then you find out he has a bit of a cult following. So how do you say this? Like he's had a devoted fan base, and you do realize the more you watch bad movies, especially B movies, you realize he was someone who actually knew what he was doing as a director, even though he was stuck in that kind of B movie slot, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
of just Doll Man and Arcade.
Doll Man. I like Doll Man. I
I,
like a lot of his stuff.
all right. So here's actually a better question. What's an Albert Pune you don't like?
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Here's the thing. So, God bless him. Rest in peace. I think I'm going to try to pay a very respectful, borderline religious like tribute to the man today because
Mm.
I don't really come to him till much
Look, you
later,
don't need
like
to.
the
You
last
don't
couple of
need.
years,
I get
basically.
it. Like Albert Pune passed away not too long ago. I get that, and never got his flowers. I get it. But we're talking his movies. You don't have to fucking do a preamble to be like, "I'm sorry, Albert." Just you didn't like a
Yeah.
movie he made.
Did you ever see Road to Hell?
Is that the one? Is that the one that has Gilbert Gottfried in it inexplicably? Oh, I'm
No.
thinking Highway to Hell. Okay. No,
Yeah.
no, you know what? I have not
Road.
seen Road to Hell.
Okay, this is gonna trip you the fuck out. Then Road to Hell is the official, unofficial sequel to Streets of Fire,
Oh,
still starring Michael Pere.
huh.
And I want to give someone else their flowers. Michael Scott, host of the Action for Everyone podcast, sort of the godfather of Albert Pune appreciators, who also doesn't like Road to Hell.
Mm.
He brought up the great point that Albert Pune was Zack Snyder without a budget, basically.
Mm.
I think that's mostly true. And
I don't know if I
I
know
bring that
that.
up because
I like that.
Road to Hell,
Yeah.
stylistically, maybe not like content wise.
Uh,
Okay. Well, the point being, Road to Hell is at a certain point, all of this stuff is just like shot on green screens. Albert Pune,
yeah.
and Road to Hell is one of those first ones, and it is basically unwatchable.
Mm.
It is truly awful. And there's really not a lot going for it, and you can see like, yeah, he loves Streets of Fire. I love Streets of Fire. It's basically like a fan film production, and it's pretty fucking awful.
Hold on,
I'm also not a big fan of Nemesis 3 and 4.
yeah, those Nemesis films, they kind of like drop off deeply. I mean, yeah, like, but also like a whole generation of those guys were wiped out once the green screen revolution started, right? Like,
Yeah.
because it was just they really couldn't adapt to it. I don't know. I'm sure I'm sure some people have found like the gems, but like that was an age where suddenly it became so cheap everyone could make that shit, and a lot of it was bad, you know.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, he does have a drop off after the '90s, basically, and basically never comes back.
yeah,
Like quality
a
wise.
lot of guys a lot of guys had that arc. I mean, John Carpenter had that arc, right? Like
Hmm.
of
Yep.
just, and as I think like you can watch those John Carpenter fucking what do you call it, like The Ward or Cigarette Burns, and you're like, Albert Carpenter, John Carpenter still knows what he's doing. It's just now that like the industry's changed so much, he can't do what he wants to do, right? And it's just out of step with certain elements of the industry, you know. Um, it
Mm-hmm.
was like all these B movie guys like needed to be onboarded with digital technology, right? Like they needed some sort of training with it, and obviously that wasn't going to happen. So, um, because think about it, I mean, John Carpenter basically gets, I mean, similarly to Captain America here, but just like way later, Carpenter basically gets fucked with like Escape from LA being like, that's the last chance you're going to get to make a real mainstream movie, right? Like, and
Mm-hmm.
part of it was that they're like, you got to do all these effects. And he just didn't know how to do it, right? Like, Carpenter just wasn't the guy to do effects like that, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. He needed not to like dwindle his presence, but like, in a way he had to stay in his own lane because he was the lane. He created an entire other lane
yeah.
basically.
hmm
And they tried to put him somewhere else and it didn't work.
it just happened. It's unfortunate, but it's part of the arc of the industry, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so. But yeah, it's I can't even think of I don't even know how many Albert P movies I've seen post the 90s. Because a lot of the stuff I saw was either like a Blockbuster VHS rental or a Sci-Fi Channel airing, right? Um,
Yeah.
Apparently he did a
Yeah, there's
movie with
stuff
Kevin
like
Sorbo towards the end, a fantasy film.
yeah,
Um,
Tales of an Ancient Empire, which I've not seen, but there's another big Albert Punehead who wrote a book about his filmography. His name's Justin Declos. He gave it 1.5 stars on
oh
Letterboxd.
well.
So
Yeah, you know
yeah,
what? I've been rewatching. I like Hercules and Xena are currently on Amazon Prime. Um,
Oh, I gotta give those a shot.
yeah, and I decided because you kind of like the first season of Hercules kind of leads into Xena, right? There's a bit of a dry run for Xena, and guess what? Kevin Sorbo, not a great actor. Um,
You're shocking me right now.
yeah, I honestly, I genuinely wouldn't being like, look, it's Hercules. He doesn't need to like fucking, like, yeah, and I know he's been a weirdo in recent years, like, and I'm like, but he doesn't need to like, do much. And I was watching, I was like, oh Jesus.
Yeah, doesn't that kind of suck? I think that happened when we rewatched Daredevil, and I was like, "Come, Ben Affleck, come on, everyone
Yeah,
likes him now." And then I was like, "Oh shit, I forgot."
yeah. It's like, oh yeah, like
Like,
the Affleck hate was over exaggerated, but not entirely unjustified.
yeah.
Um,
Although, shout out to him and J Lo, round three. I guess I don't know
oh
what's happening
God,
there.
again? I didn't even
Someone
know.
was saying
Uh,
they're gonna do their before trilogy. It's just Benifer.
it happened again. Um, but uh,
Beautiful.
what are we doing? Although that is where we're at as a culture right now. Like, we just keep being like, maybe this time Benifer will work.
Oh, I
So,
hope it doesn't, but they do it again. They
I,
just keep going.
yeah, just keep doing it. God, what is Affleck, man? What's going on, dude? Uh,
I love him so much.
I don't,
I
th-
fucking love him.
I don't know. Like, this speaks to something deeply wrong in his head. Like, this is not something an individual who is totally stable in the mind does.
You're not wrong, but I think that's why I love him.
Well, it's like
I
because
worry about him,
since he's a complete
but
stranger, is it a fun crazy or is it a crazy crazy?
yeah.
So,
Okay, but to get back on track, I'm trying to think like the last Albert Pune movie I'd probably recommend. I haven't seen like Post Mortem or Corrupt, but I think the last one I really like is Mean Guns. You ever see that with
yeah, I've seen that
Christopher
one.
Lambert and Ice
Uh,
T? Yeah, real simple, lean, mean action thriller. Amazing CinemaScope compositions on a budget. I mean that's the thing. Like even with like such little money, he was always like he had a very good cinematic eye, and he knew how to like use his budget to like okay, this is the scene where we really need to showcase like this futuristic apocalypse world or something. Or
yeah.
for Mean Guns, like this is how we're gonna like block these actors
I mean,
with their weaponry in this
you
space.
see that here. I mean, you see that in his Captain America movie, where it's like there's a lot of like obvious like working around a low budget, but then it's like we need the missile shot to actually look good, right? Like not the shot of the missile like in the air, unfortunately, but the
Hmm.
shot of the missile on the launch pad is like, oh, this is like a real set. Like this is like big, and it looks, pop art comic booky for a moment, Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, he had. That's. I'm just like I've seen. Have you seen Crazy Six? You haven't seen Crazy Six? Um,
Crazy Six? No,
one of those movies where
no.
Burt Reynolds is in it, but for like 5 minutes. Um,
Awesome. He was doing that a lot.
yeah, after Boogie Nights,
Yeah, what
like
was that?
what? Yeah, genuinely. Although, like there's all those stories about him being like a psycho on that set, right? Like I think he was just
Hmm.
one of those guys who like he just never got a governor on that ego, right? Like where
Yeah.
it was just he was gonna be impossible to work with no matter what. Because yeah, it's the year after Boogie Nights. He does three direct-to-video movies, um, and Mystery Alaska.
Bert, buddy.
Uh, yeah,
Buddy.
and then he was like, it's kind of said he was like gonna be like, all right, one last hurrah, I'm gonna be in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and he passed away. Like, he's
That's borderline tragic.
yeah, he
Like,
was supposed to be the Spawn Ranch guy. Um,
yeah, yeah. I remember, yeah. It was a big deal. I
mm,
mean, not just because it's Burt Reynolds who died, but like, yeah, that would have been,
would have
I
been
think that could have been kind of touching.
it could have, but instead it went to fucking what's his name, Bruce Dern,
Bruce
who
Dern.
is still alive. Bruce Dern has been playing guys who are about to die for about a decade now. Like
Well, he's good at it.
the
He's a
hate,
good actor.
the Hateful Eight was 10 years ago.
That's so
He's in a
fucking crazy.
chair that whole movie.
Maybe Laura Dern's just taking care of him, you know?
Yeah, maybe it's something about those Derns.
Yeah. They got good genes. The Dern code.
Although, like, I'm looking at Dern, he hasn't exactly done anything of note. I guess he was in the Bill Burr movie that came out a year ago, but that wasn't very good. Um,
Oh, okay.
but uh, what does he do?
That's too
Oh,
bad.
all
I
right,
don't know. I mean, maybe he doesn't have to act anymore. He's Bruce
this
Dern,
is
you
my
know?
favorite thing though. When you have a guy like Bruce Dern who's been acting since the '60s, right? And you look at their
Hmm.
filmography, and they have film, television, video games.
What on earth
He's
did
he's
he voice in a video
he's
game?
in a video game I've never heard of called Shadow Stalkers, which was made by 3D Realms, which is the original company that made Duke Nukem, and had the entire extensive delay of Duke Nukem Forever coming out. Uh, and
Wow.
yeah, so, but hey, good on you, Dern. It's like Burgess Meredith's last credit is a video game. Did you
What?
not know
Which
this?
one?
All right, there's
No.
an FMV video game called Ripper. Have you ever seen anything of Ripper?
No. No, no, no.
It's
I
like a
haven't.
cyberpunk murder mystery where like Jack the Ripper's maybe back in cyberpunk land. Uh, so do you want
Okay,
do,
sure.
do
Why
you
not?
do you want to hear the cast of uh,
Yeah, do it.
of
Do it.
of Ripper? Paul Giamatti,
Yeah, yeah.
Jimmy Walker, John Rhys Davies, Ozzie Davis, David Patrick Kelly, Karen Allen, Burgess Meredith, and Christopher Walken.
You know what? Video games used to mean something.
This was that era where they're like everyone wants video. So like it's not just them voicing it; they're in the game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like Tim Curry,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
and everyone's favorite.
that's like a later one though, because Ripper's from like 90. Yeah, Ripper's from 96. Yeah, and it's and Command and Conquer 3 is like from the mid 2000s, and that was kind of like by that point that sort of thing had become just genuinely comical. So that's why Tim Curry is just going out of his mind in that video game as a Russian commander. I played so much Command and Conquer back in the day. I have all that shit stuck in my head. But anyone out there, I highly recommend looking up Christopher Walken's performance in Ripper, the video game. Uh,
Is it good or is it just like insane?
it is Walken being like, I'm not, no, I'm gonna be in an 11 the whole time. Like,
Terrific.
I am not slowing down. Like, you're about to find out what it's like being a human shish kebab rotating in one of our penal institutions. It's just wild. And then you have John Rhys Davies in there who's like kind of giving a genuine performance. It's like,
He's done a lot of video games,
yeah,
right?
John Rhys Davies has done every piece of shit you can think of. Like, he's done shitty TV, he's done shitty video games, he's done shitty movies, he's probably been in shitty plays. Like, you know, he's done a lot. And then it's also like he's in three of like some of like the greatest movies of all time, right? Like, it's like he's done some of the absolute trash. He's an annoying guy. Like, he gives interviews where he's just fucking annoying these days, talking about damn kids these days. He's apparently like really difficult to work with. Like, he's the one guy that did Lord of the Rings that was like, I will not get the tattoo that the whole cast got, right? And
Hmm.
and then it's like, and yeah, I'm in the Wing Commander games. But the Wing Commander games also have an insane cast. Like, that's Mark Hamill,
I don't
Malcolm
know. I don't know
McDowell.
that franchise.
Oh, Wing Commander rules. You can kind of start with the third one, which is when they get the full motion video, but it's basically like you play as Mark Hamill, so you're basically playing as Luke Skywalker, like in a pre-prequels era too. Um,
Oh my god.
it's good like space flight sims. But like
Oh my god.
Mark Hamill, Malcolm McDowell is like the admiral. John Rhys Davies, I think, is the villain. Um, Tom Wilson's in it. Fucking Biff Tannen himself as he's like kind of the he's like Maverick. He's like the Maverick of the Wing Commander franchise, and just like he'll do crazy shit. You know, he's like, oh, he's a loose cannon Maverick. You know, he doesn't. They don't say that because he's not named Maverick. Actually, his name's Maniac. So um, that's a fun era of games if you can find the right stuff. Like,
Yeah, we got to go back.
I do highly recommend if you play Tie Fighter. If you like Tie Fighter, you'll like Wing Commander.
Yeah, I played. I
It's a,
love Tie
I'm
Fighter.
just looking at John Rhys Davies' video game credits. He's in Dune 2000, the Dune video game. From take a guess what year it was from.
2001.
1998. But anyway,
Beautiful.
Baldur's Gate.
Beautiful.
He's in one of the Baldur's Gate games. One of the old ones that I don't have those gotten a resurgence because of the success of Baldur's Gate 3? I haven't seen anything like it.
I haven't seen that either.
Because Baldur's
No.
Gate 3 is one of those things where it was a phenomenon, and then because D&D rights are so fucked up right now, they immediately fumbled it because there was no DLC to support that game going forward, right? So, uh,
That industry is just fucking. I've been saying it. They're speed running the collapse of their own industry. Like film is like
mm,
obviously dying, but like, and it's not going to, but it's like it is. You know, it's on its deathbed.
yeah.
But like the video game stuff is just fucking just Jesus,
Well,
dude.
that's
It's
the one
that's fucking
where
brutal.
AI will genuinely take over video games to some degree because they will just make AI generated gambling machines, right? Like,
Hmm.
they're just going to do like all like that Farmville type casual game shit. That's where the industry is going to
Yeah.
pivot there. But also they're doing that like weird pivot where like they want video games to be more like Roblox because like some kids they only play Roblox and they play games that are made in Roblox, right? Like, so I guess
Hmm.
Fortnite is making a pivot like that. And I think that was the strategy the whole time with Microsoft buying fucking Minecraft back in the day, right? Like, they spent like 2 billion. So I bet you something similar will happen with Minecraft. But it's that thing of like I don't know, I'm sure that will capture like this huge chunk of the market, but I almost feel like that'll be like a different thing than video games, right? Like at that point, like at what point does it stop really being video games and just starts being like a weird Skinner box type thing, you know? Um, I'm
Hmm.
saying I'm sure it'll work in terms of financial, but like there's got to be a market for people who actually want to play video games, right? So
You'd think,
there's
and
gotta
I'm sure
be.
there
No,
is.
there
They're
really
just not doing it.
there really has to be. I just think it's the industry doesn't know how to tap into that right now, right? And are totally unwilling to. They have no incentive to actually try and make good video games. Same with movies. There's no incentive to
Hmm.
make movies good right now. But at some point, you're gonna fucking turn movies into just a weird slot machine, and obviously, I think the depressing thing is it will work in terms of like it will crank out a certain level of profit forever. But what do you do in post that, right? Like there's a ceiling, you know. Uh,
Hmm. Yeah.
Although I don't know. It was like like it was like when everyone was trying to be World of Warcraft for a little bit, remember? And everyone was trying to
Hmm.
be live services after that, and like it never works. So I don't know. I don't fucking know. Um,
Yeah.
I know some people are really like doom and gloom about that, but I genuinely think everyone is just so depressed right now. Everyone like just doesn't want to think positively or even
No.
consider that bad stuff has an end. So, um,
Yeah, that's important to keep in mind.
did you
Everything ends.
all read Blood Meridian right after the election? Is that what you all did? Has that just been in your head since then?
I mean, maybe. Maybe that's what happened.
Mm. What about that Blood Meridian
I don't
movie?
know. Ah, well, eh.
Albert Pune's Blood Meridian.
Oh, he could have done it. He could have done something. It wouldn't have been the book, but it would have been
Yeah, he
something.
would. He definitely would have done something. The judge would have done like martial arts.
Yeah. Or it could have been like a radioactive dreams type like
Yeah,
fantasy apocalypse world.
yeah. He would totally change the setting to make it so they can shoot like
Yeah.
a fucking junkyard somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, he would do that. He shot Nemesis 2 and 3 at the same time, basically.
Yeah.
Well, because 3 is like a lot of flashback shit to 2.
Mm.
But there's one or two other productions he like quote unquote shared with other movies,
I mean,
like
they
his
did a
own. Just
lot of that
yeah,
at the fucking Canon Film School, if you want to call it that.
yeah. Well, can schools take away your scholarship in the middle of the semester?
Yes,
Yeah, they can. Yeah, okay, never mind. Yeah, it's a good comp then.
but I
Yeah,
guess.
because Captain America was supposed to have a bigger budget, for
Mm.
example,
Yeah,
and
here's the thing.
yeah.
How does Albert Pune really, like, 'cause I know of him, but I'm not like a scholar of his stuff. How does he really get start in the film industry? Like, I know it's Sword and the Sorcerer, right? Um,
Yeah.
which is like which is a low budget fantasy film, but is like genuinely pretty well regarded by most people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like we talked about doing it on the fantasy flops series we were doing, fantasy blockbusters, and it made a shit ton of money, so we couldn't really justify
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah. It was a success. It's his only like true blue success, I think.
Mhm.
Um, which is unfortunate, but yeah. I mean, it's one of his better movies still. Just yeah. So he got his start. Everyone at the time had their 8 millimeter film camera and stuff like that. So he was one of those guys. Living in Hawaii. I didn't know this until doing this for the podcast, but he was a military brat, so
Mhm.
he would travel a lot. Probably like he's probably very interested like filming everything he was seeing. Um, this is a fucking crazy fact, but he almost worked on Akira Kurosawa's Dersu Uzala,
Mm.
and because he was interning for Toshiro Mifune,
Well, all right.
and Toshiro Mifune almost starred in that
Yeah,
movie.
is that like right when like Kurosawa and him had that falling out that like they never what for whatever reason and they like never work again? Or is that it's Redbeard
Yeah.
afterwards?
Well, also, um, Dersu Uzala is like that movie that Kurosawa made right after he like tried killing himself.
Yeah, there's that movie.
Like it's
There's a lot going on with that
that
film.
that is it's very hard to track down. So whenever I'm like, oh, it's one of his best, people are like, What? Like it's someone's got to do a re-release of that, like a proper one, because it's fucking incredible.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, but
but
yeah, he was supposed to work on that, and then he did a lot of like commercial editing
mm,
and like working at like agencies, and he. This is interesting. He did a lot of work primarily as an editor until he moves to L.A. to try to become a feature film
mm,
director. And I think everyone's always like, how do you get into filmmaking? You got to be like a screenwriter. Is it like cinematographer? Is it actor? It's like I really think knowing editing gives you a big leg up into how to make a movie,
mm.
almost more than anything else. Everything is equally important. You should have a handle on everything, absolutely. But I think editing, knowing what you need and what you don't need, how to tell the story once everything is like put together, seeing the movie in your head, I think that is such a big help
And when
because you know,
you
sometimes people are like, "What do you do?" Like some people come up with their setups on the day and stuff like that, and it's like you can do that. Steven Spielberg does that sometimes, but holy shit, most people cannot do that.
yeah.
And I'm willing to bet that helped Albert like during his very minimal
Well, yeah.
budget production
When you
processes.
watch his movies, you know that editing plays a huge part in his strength. And not to jump too far ahead, but when you see the difference between the theatrical release and his unreleased director's cut of Captain America, the directing, I mean, the editing is wildly transformative of what the film is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how much of that was the original intent of it, but it's yeah, like the strength. His strength is one of his anyway is in editing. Um, so it's clear he had a really good grasp on that early in his career. But it's like he does Sword and the Sorcerer, and then he does Radioactive Dreams next, right? And that's still like with Dino De Laurentiis and stuff like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's still, and that didn't did that bomb or did that kind of
I think
bombed?
it bombed, and it's one of those ones that also, like Dersu
Mm,
Uzala, films of equal merit, in my opinion.
mm.
Oh no, you know what? Radioactive Dreams made money. It cost 3 million. It made
Well,
seven
well,
million,
it says it
but
made
it's hard
seven
to track
million.
down.
It said it made 7 million, but it said the theatrical release in the United States was $200,000, basically.
Ah,
So
Jesus,
yeah,
that sounds like a De Laurentiis problem though, because that fucking
but that's a
that
movie.
fucking guy.
You watch that movie though, and you're like, did Al Pune invent Fallout? Like,
Oh, 100,000%.
you're just
Yes,
like, holy shit,
yes.
this guy did this guy do that? Um,
Yeah, for those that don't know, Radioactive Dreams, because I'm willing to bet 99%, 99.99% of people on planet Earth have not seen that movie or even heard of it. Um, it's a post-apocalyptic movie about like an alternate like 1980s America after in the aftermath of like Cold War tensions and shit like that. There's a bunch of mutant freaks. There's like mutant monsters. There's different subcultures left over from the 50s that never evolved because you see what we're getting at.
mhm.
There's a bunker in the opening. There, people talk like they're the protagonists talk like they're 1950s private eyes, the private dicks, and yeah, it's Fallout.
Yeah.
It's Fallout.
Well, it's this thing of like he makes these movies where like he'll just do like kind of like Kickboxer, right? Like just something that's like fucking kick a guy in the head. Like that's the movie. He does like these action movies. And then every now and then he'll throw out a wildly ambitious genre film, right? That
Mm-hmm.
but then like the budget is $5. But he pulls a lot out of that, right? Like he still
Yeah.
does a good job with that stuff. I always here's the thing. Vicious Lips doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. Uh,
Oh man.
and I don't even know. I gave Vicious Lips, I think, 5 stars. I don't even know if it's a good movie, but I've never seen anything like it. Like, it's there's like, it's an almost plotless movie at times. There's a lot of just ambling around. But it's like a science fiction film of like a fucking band stuck on a planet. Like, it's like how did anyone even make this, right? And so like and then it's like one of those movies where you look at the cover and it's like a bunch of sexy chicks holding like guns and stuff, and it's like that is not indicative of what the film is at all. They're stuck on that fucking spaceship for most of it. But I don't know, like I really responded to it, you know.
Hmm.
Then he gets like I think either starting there or right after there is when he gets into like the canon film circle, right? Uh,
Yeah, because he does like
mm.
Cyborg and shit.
He basically took over
Is
Journey from the Center of the Earth. Like he's uncredited on that, but that's a movie where like again editing. He was just given a bunch of film from what I understand, and like the movie wasn't finished. Like
mhm.
if you're looking at it's a 79-minute movie, and that was at
Well,
the
that one's even funnier because it's also like an unofficial sequel to his Alien from L.A., which I hadn't seen until like
mm,
2 years ago,
mm,
3 years ago. Um, and it's very much like a kid's adventure movie
yeah.
with a performance that you're either gonna vibe with or you're either gonna not, and I vibe with it.
Mm.
And then it's just like, yeah, dude, fix the Journey to the Center of the Earth movies. Like, all right, but I'm bringing Kathy Ireland as her character from Alien from L.A. Like,
Hey,
it's he was a trip, man.
no, like I said, he's one of those visionaries where like we just don't get it in on that level of filmmaking anymore, right? Um,
Hmm.
but I guess Cyborg is like his big break, right? Like Cyborg is the one where
Yeah.
like he kind of like that was a movie from what I understand like it had a difficult lead up to it. No, they Canon kept getting these action stars like Jean-Claude Van Damme and didn't know what to do with them, right? Like they would like who's the guy who was like the American Ninja or whatever his name was? What's
Oh
that?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, they talk about there's a good documentary that I don't think you can find anywhere called Electric Boogaloo, which is about the history of Canon films. Um, I think part of
Oh
it,
yeah, that came out like 10 years ago
yeah,
now,
it's
huh?
like not streaming anywhere, and like you can't really get a copy of it. I'm not totally sure why. Maybe it's because the name Electric Boogaloo got co-opted by a hate group. But hey,
Oh no.
Michael Dudikoff was the American Ninja. And they point out in that movie, and that's one of like the earlier canon films, and they point out in the movie that they could have turned that guy into a star, but they kept giving him like worse budgets going forward. And they didn't know how to foster him as a movie. So they wanted Michael Dudikoff to be Spider-Man when Canon Films had the Spider-Man rights for a little bit. Um, and yeah, obviously that didn't play out. And I guess Van Damme was someone who they just didn't know what to do with, and Pune was the first guy to see. And like, no, this guy's a star. We should, use him like a movie star, right?
Hmm.
And um, it's also like when does yeah, like mid '80s. He like remember like he like infamously he got fired off the set of fucking Predator, right?
Oh yeah.
Like Van Damme
Yeah.
was the original Predator, and like he got fired because it was terrible. But,
Yeah, and they're like, this doesn't fucking work at all. We need to redo this at the last minute. Let's uh let's make one of the most iconic designs in like 5 minutes
yeah,
in movie history.
that was just they was literally like Stan Winston was on a plane and just drew it on the flight and was sitting next to James Cameron, and Cameron was like, "You should give him mandibles for teeth," and he was like, "All right." That's how you get the Predator.
Oh, that's so fucking great. That's true movie magic
A
right
hundred
there.
percent. Cyborg's a fun movie though. Like I would recommend
Yeah,
Cyborg
I
to
really like
people
Cyborg.
if you want to watch that kind of stuff. And I guess they were like, "All right, do Captain America."
Yeah.
Um, but also
Yeah.
Cyborg is kind of Cyborg is released by Canon, but it is kind of the last Canon film, right? Like under the like official how we understood canon at the time, because they totally flame out by the end of the '80s, right? They got
Mm-hmm.
way too overextended. They tried doing a Superman movie, it bombed. They tried doing a Masters of the Universe movie, it bombed. Like they were doing all these big budget movies that they had no business to be doing, and they just flopped big time. Yeah, Cyborg is it looks like Cyborg is their last production under Canon Entertainment. They still distributed some films, but it was their last official Canon production.
That is interesting. So a couple things because Cyborg and Captain America were filmed obviously earlier than their release date years. Captain America was filmed in like 1988, right?
Mm, that explains a lot.
So that's why initially I had mentioned Golan Globus because they both did work on like the production package of the movie,
Mm.
and that's where a lot of the problems arise. So even though they separate, it's like, man, there was still enough of that impact to stop the movie from being like what both Stephen Tolkien and Albert Pune like wanted it to be.
Mm.
And I won't say it is a perfect movie in its director's cut form. But before we get into that, you have any thoughts on like the theatrical? Because we're really here to talk about the director's cut, the
Um,
official director's cut, not the one that was released on a Blu-ray like 13 years ago, which is not a director's cut.
I actually don't think I have a ton to say about the Captain America theatrical cut, other than it's not very good, right? Like it's a bad movie. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's got it does have enough visual style to it that it's like you can tell it was directed by someone who had an eye at least, right? Like, but
Mm-hmm.
it it's I think both versions have a momentum problem, but it's worse in the theatrical cut, in my opinion. Um, but also, we'll talk about that in a minute. I was going to ask, what are your opinions on Captain America?
Like as a character,
Yeah, like
or this the movie in
what's
general.
your relationship to Captain America as a comic?
Uh, Not until the MCU really gets started
Mm,
and I fall in love with the first Avenger
hmm.
did I read a Captain America comic.
Okay.
I didn't really read. Actually, you know what? One of the very first ones I read was Mark Millar's Civil War because that was like
Oh,
such a popular event comic at the time, and I was like, yeah, that's the one where Captain America dies after and stuff like that, and then Bucky becomes Captain America,
mm.
and so coming in at probably the worst time for like interesting comics to be happening for that character.
That's
Um,
a good run of Captain America, in my opinion, but probably a bad
but it
introduction.
was weird.
Yeah.
It was
Well, here's
weird, is what I'm
I
saying.
was
Yeah.
thinking of this because I similarly I think I'm talking about this at post the first Spider-Man. I go to my dad. I'm like, I want to read comics, and he goes, I remember. I don't totally know because he doesn't really remember, and I only remember being like, I want to read Spider-Man and the Flash. Like those are my two favorites as a kid, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I get Spider-Man in the J. Michael Straczynski era, and Straczynski, I mean, and the Flash in the Jeff Johns era. Um, Now, to the credit of the guy at the comic book shop, he also gave me a trade paperback of Flashborn: The Run, which is the first. It's the retelling of the Flash origin by Mark Waid, right? And then I started
Mm-hmm.
simultaneously collecting the Mark Waid trade paperbacks. And Jeff Johns, whatever you want to say about the guy, his Flash run's pretty fucking good. The back to back Mark Waid Jeff Johns Flash run is pretty fucking good. Jeff Johns is though it is one though where it's like you give a kid a comic book and it's like oh uh Pied Piper's like addicted to crack. It's like comics had changed a lot since my dad was reading them. Um, And but then on top of that, I do not remember asking for this one, and part of me thinks that it was post 9/11, and my dad thought I needed some patriotism in my life. So the other series I got was Captain America, um, which at the time was not written by Brubaker. It wasn't the Brubaker run yet. I can't remember who was writing it at the time, but I carried it because it reboots a little bit into Brubaker, and that begins his run, which leads into uh, the Civil War stuff. And it was like, okay, so the three comics I read regularly as a child were The Flash, Spider Man, and Captain America. And by the time I am, going into high school, Wally West has given up the title of being Flash, Spider Man's divorced, and Captain America's dead.
Jesus, and they wonder why people they had such a drop off in people reading comics.
Yeah, but I'll say the Captain America one works. Like that's at least an arc, right? Like they were doing stuff at the
Yeah,
time. Civil War, not a great story, but it like uses the bits of it to like tell interesting stuff, right?
No, for
Uh,
sure. And I like that you brought up that like, oh, your dad felt you needed like patriotism or whatever. We're coming off like Obama Hope era, Obama first term when the first Captain America movie was coming out.
mm,
I'm patriotic at this time. I am definitely like I remember like like liking Superman as a character, like just more than my contemporaries. Everyone wanted Batman and stuff like that. And I remember I had some friends in high school who were much more like, I don't want to watch a Captain America movie. What do I want to watch a movie about America? And I was still like,
you remember they
on the
had to?
basis of my idealism, not the character. I was like, no, I think I could be something there.
Mm.
And I was the only one who ended up liking both his movie and Thor that summer. I remember there was like one or the other, but I was like, no, 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 these are both really good,
Yeah, Thor's
you know.
bad,
And I was just like
but
so won over by that movie.
Thor's bad. First Thor's bad. But I do you remember that they were like trying to market the first Avenger as being the darker Marvel movie?
I don't really remember that. I think we talked about that before, but I don't have that memory in my brain.
They had Chris Evans like do like a shit ton of interviews where it was like, nah, this is like really Dark Knight inspired.
That's hilarious. This
And
is
then like,
not the movie.
cut to Star Spangled Man with a plan. Like it's just yeah, it wildly wasn't that movie. But that is that weird they don't know what to do. Like they're kind of like this is a really risky gamble, right? The whole MCU thing. And that movie it like barely made money, right? Like the thing no one really talks about is that Thor and Captain America the First Avenger technically lost money at the box office, which is why Paramount didn't exactly
Yep.
fight very hard when Disney swooped in and bought the rights, right? And then it's
Hmm.
the Avengers hitting opening to 200 million. That's when it's like, okay, this is the future now, right? Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Can I just say something else about the Captain America comic character for a
mm,
bit too? Because I think we under like sell now the sort of damage the Ultimates comics did at the time. Like not all of them,
yeah,
not all of them. There's good shit, but like, do you know that image, that moment where Captain America's like yelling at someone? He's pointing to the giant A on his forehead, and
yeah,
he's like, "Do you think this letter on my head stands for France?" Which,
yeah,
you know what, pretty funny. That ain't Captain America, you know.
yeah. Well,
And then
that
there's I
became
forget what fuck it's probably a Brewbreaker run, but like there's a bit where he's talking about like someone's criticizing the French resistance fighters during World War II, and he's like, no, 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 people have given them shit for folding to the Nazis, but they were able to maneuver after surrendering. Like the resistance fighters, they were much braver than you could ever be. It's like stuff like that. Like it was just like
yeah,
a really sentimental moment about like no, 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 you respect these people. You don't know what they sacrificed, even if like you feel that they didn't sacrifice enough. Like it just I don't know. I like the Captain America character a lot now.
yeah.
Despite my feelings on the grander ideology of the world he
Well,
inhabits.
yeah. Well, the problem is so like the problem is the Ultimates is very much trying like the Ultimates is weird where it's like it's a satire, but also Mark Miller is kind of fucked up, right? Like, I've never figured
Hmm.
out that guy really, you know, like what he genuinely thinks. How old was he when he wrote Ultimates? Yeah, he's way older than
I
the
think
guy
he
shooting. He's in his
was
30s. Um,
yeah.
but I know that that was him. Like, and I believe Grant Morrison advised him to do this of just being like, try writing an Avengers story. I think this was the initial idea because it like it Ultimates kind of premieres like right after 9/11, but it was they were developing it before then, the comic anyway. Um, and the original idea was what if America had superheroes but no enemy to fight, right? Like what
Hmm.
if suddenly we had uh we basically like had genetically engineered weapons. It was basically just a commentary on the military industrial complex, right? And
Hmm.
but also at the same time, a lot of what they were doing with the Ultimates line was being like, "Hey, Hollywood, here's how you could make these into movies," right? Uh,
Hmm.
and so it's because I mean the Ultimate Nick Fury comes out of that, but like George W. Bush is in the Ultimates comic. Like, there's a scene where George W. Bush is like, "What do you think of the 21st century, Captain America?" And Captain America's like, "I like it a lot, Mr. President." So,
Hey, credit to that very first modern day appearance of Chris Evans Captain America, at least, where it's just like, hey, this is like weird.
yeah,
You guys might have messed stuff up a little bit.
we'll say I think that it was one of the problems of the first Avenger and the way not really the first Avenger. I want to put it on the blame of the movie, but the way the MCU is set up is that we didn't get enough of Captain America man at a time, right? Like that's the plot of Winter Soldier, obviously,
Hmm.
but they kind of just skip over like, hey, you know, you missed the civil rights movement, Captain America.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Like, which is something the comics wrestled with more directly, right? That
Hmm.
here's the thing: Captain America has always been a more radical comic than people give it credit for. The first issue, obviously, is him punching Hitler in the face. You know, and I already told that story, but like there were protests and Jack Kirby tried to fight everyone and all that shit.
Yeah.
Um, Jack Kirby,
God bless him.
and oh god, I tried to look up Captain America and I got Ultimate Captain America. I don't want Ultimate Captain America. He's a fucked up guy. Joe
Well, here
Simon
to
is the
back
other
you up,
guy.
there Captain America. He also fought. Was it Nixon or Reagan?
Well, all right. I was about to get into that. So Captain America,
Okay, yeah, please.
Captain America punched Hitler in the face before we're in World War II. We go to World War II. He fights in World War II. Post World War II, a lot of comics fall out of fashion, especially ultra patriotic comics like Captain America. Then there's the moral panic around comics. Captain America basically gets canceled. They bring Captain America back in the 50s as I think they even changed his name. I think they called him like the Fighting American or something like that, or whatever. But it was like Captain America's comics, and in those he fights communists, and it's very jingoistic. In later retcons, will say that that was an imposter Captain America. That was the one that was fighting all the communists. I believe it
That's
was,
terrific.
I believe it was U.S. Agent, maybe. That's who that was supposed to be.
Oh, is that where U.S. Agent
I
comes
I
from?
think that's where U.S. Agent comes from. That he was like ultra jingoistic. Then Marvel Comics, Fantastic Four #1 hits, Spider-Man hits, all these comics start hitting. Then Marvel's like, well, what characters do we own? What do we have? And they were like, let's bring Captain America back. And they had him discovered in a block of ice. Uh, the Avengers revive him. He's man out of time. It's like Avengers comic like 4 or 5. It reveals that he was on a missile um, and got stuck in the Arctic. Bucky, his sidekick, died in that explosion because Stan Lee really fucking hated kid sidekicks. That was like one of Stan Lee's like major things of being like, we're not gonna have any fucking kid sidekicks in the Marvel universe. He was like, and his argument was basically like, all these people would be arrested if they were endangering children. That which and Bucky basically remained dead until the Brubaker era, right? Like Bucky was someone they
Yep.
actually kept dead for a long time. And came back and now is known as the Winter Soldier. But basically, if you weren't, if you're our age, there was 30 years of no Bucky. So, and also he definitely wasn't the Winter Soldier. He was Mister like, gee whiz, Captain America. Totally different vibe. And those comics are, we talk about the 60s era of Marvel where they definitely were taking stands that other people were not taking on social issues at the time, but at the same time they took a very like neoliberal stance on stuff, right? And
Hmm.
I believe there's like issues of Captain America being like, kids stop dropping out of college, you long hairs and shit like that. And there's every now and then they punch a communist in the face, especially Iron Man. Um, and then Jack Kirby leaves Marvel, shit goes kind of crazy. They don't know what to do. A lot of their main guys aren't there anymore. Roy Thomas is kind of like the big guy for a little bit, where he's writing most of the Avengers comics. But then he hands over the Avengers to Steve Englehart. How aware are you of Steve Englehart?
Not very.
Okay, Steve Englehart is great. His comics are insane and ridiculous. He takes over the Avengers title, and he is the first writer on the Defenders, which was the team that was made up of the Hulk, Doctor Strange, Silver Surfer, and Valkyrie in the 70s. And
Terrific.
he signals kind of the big, you know, uh, handover to someone who was, you know, that Patrick Willems guy. I heard him.
Yeah,
I heard him on a
yeah.
podcast talking about Marvel, and he was like, they should really make a movie about Marvel Comics in the '60s and '70s because he's like, the '60s it's basically Mad Men, and then the '70s it was a bunch of hippies. Like, and Steve Englehart is representative of that. Where like, like they would literally talk about like we would just do acid and walk around New York City and come up with plots for stories. And
What a beautiful world.
he has a run on Doctor Strange at that time that is very influenced by that. I believe this is I believe a thing that happens in his run of Doctor Strange. It's been I know this happens in Doctor Strange. I just don't remember it's his run, but I believe Doctor Strange goes back in time to the 1770s in America, meets Ben Franklin, and Ben Franklin fucks Captain Doctor Strange's girlfriend. So if you want a window into what they were doing at the time. Um, but he
Oh shit.
so as part of writing the Avengers, which he writes the Avengers from 72 to 76, it's a really good run. Post Roy Thomas probably has like the definitive run of that of the 60s and 70s, but uh, Englehart takes over. He also would run a bunch of the side comics, the other comics that of the members of the Avengers. This is when Beast is one of the Avengers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one who turns Beast into a blue guy. Like Beast was just a dude with weird hands and feet, and he made him a furry guy with originally gray fur, and then he had blue fur eventually, and allegedly got a lot of letters from women being like Beast is so sexy, which is really funny to think about. He's one of the guys responsible for the whole Vision Scarlet Witch pairing during his era, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
he came up with Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. Mantis appears, I believe, during his Avengers run, although he apparently hates how Mantis is portrayed in the Guardians movies. Uh,
Aw.
he gave a very diplomatic response where he was like, "The movie's good, but that's not Mantis." Like that was basically his comment. Like,
Mm.
which hey, whatever. He's protective of his
Yeah.
own character. Um, and one of the comics he took over was Captain America. And in that he, it is that it's that ultimate question with Captain America of like, what do you do with the guy who wears the American flag on his emblem, right? Like, what do you do really? What like, and so he writes an arc called Secret Empire, which is basically a forerunner for like the plot of the Winter Soldier movie, and the plot of apparently Brave New World. I have still not seen Brave New World in its entirety, um,
Same.
and it's I guess this comic had an influence on that, and it is a like Captain America finds himself being attacked by special interest groups in attack ads. It's a very post Watergate type story. He uncovers a secret neo Nazi Hydra plot to take over the country in a secret empire. He traces it all the way back to the Oval Office, where it turns out the president is responsible, who we never see. We never see the face of the president. Captain America confronts the president, who then commits suicide.
Beautiful.
And then Captain America at the end of it
Beautiful.
renounces being Captain America, and that's when Falcon becomes Captain America for a bit, for the first time, I believe. Um, and yeah, he renounces being Captain America, and also Steve Englehart created the character of Falcon. And I guess the thing was Steve Englehart, who I think who was editor in chief. I think Roy Thomas was editor in chief at the time of Marvel, and I guess Roy Thomas was like, "This isn't Nixon, is it?" And Englehart was like, absolutely not. And then, like, the moment it was in print, he was like, yeah, this is about Watergate. So, like, I'm just saying, just imagine a comic book where, you know, fucking Captain America goes up against Trump and ends with Trump blowing his fucking brains out. Like it's that that would be insane today, right? Um, the '70s era of Marvel is like genuinely the most subversive. That's when you get like Howard the Duck and shit like that, right? Um,
Hmm.
and part of it was that like the editors didn't know any of like the drug references the younger writers were making, so they could get away with that stuff. Um, Part of it was because the comic book industry was on the verge of collapse, and so no one gave a shit. Like they were just like, "Fuck it, do whatever." Um, then of course it ends up being a Conan the Barbarian and the X-Men comics that basically turn things business-wise around for Marvel. Um, but I highly recommend the Englehart run on Captain America for those who
Yeah, I
have
need
read,
to lock in on that.
and a lot of Englehart stuff in
This guy
general.
sounds fucking great.
Englehart stuff in general in the '70s is really good. There's always dated stuff. I always gotta give people like a bit of a heads up about that, right? Like,
Hmm.
there's always stuff. Steve Gerber's the other one, the creator of Howard the Duck, or co-creator, I should say. He wrote a lot of really wacky, subversive stuff in that era. Um, Probably the other big writer for Captain America, like Roger Stern had a run on it. Roger Stern, probably best known for writing like Spider-Man and the Avengers, right? Um, Stern is Nothing Can Stop the Juggernaut era Spider-Man, which is like one of the best Spider-Man comics.
Yeah.
He created the Hobgoblin, um, and
My boy who's never got represented on the big screen.
they'll never do fucking Hobgoblin. And if they do, they'll fuck it
They
up.
should.
They'll fuck it up
They
though.
fucking
But they
should.
also fucked up.
Now they would, yeah.
They also fucked up Hobgoblin in the comics because like Stern got fired before he could reveal who the Hobgoblin was, and then a new guy took
Yeah,
over.
I
And
mean
he
that whole thing's a fucking
yeah,
mess.
it's who was the villain of the oh god, I can't remember. It's like the fucking not villain, but the guy in Grant Morrison's run on New X-Men, who turns out to be Magneto in the end. Um,
Oh,
I can't remember. It's like it begins with like an X or some shit. Uh,
yeah, but it's a fucking oh my god, hang on, this is gonna kill me.
Zorn. Zorn was his name. Zorn, and then because Grant Morrison ended that run on very bad terms, was like, "Fuck you, Zorn was Magneto the whole time." And basically in a fuck you that ruined both the Zorn character and the Magneto character. And then like they had to like do like wacky ass retro continuity. It was like actually there was a real Zorn who was still partly Zorn during that run, but then Magneto took over at a certain point. But then Magneto was being impersonated by another guy. Like it was one of those. The comics are fucking dumb. Uh, but I was gonna say the other guy who wrote almost 150 issues of Captain America is Mark Grunwald. He wrote Captain America from July '85 to September '95 in a very Peter David-esque run on Hulk kind of way. Where did Peter David write Hulk for like 15 years?
Yeah,
Uh,
a while.
yeah, he just died recently. Peter David. Yeah, yeah. I was looking up something related to his run, and I saw that he had passed away. I think. Yeah, he died in May. Um, So rest in peace, Peter David. Uh, and but Mark Grunwald also passed away. Do you know the story about Mark Grunwald's untimely death?
No, I don't.
So this story, I'm just gonna say this story isn't true, but it's something that got passed around a lot, and it might be true. I don't think it's
Okay.
true. But the story is Mark Ruffalo wrote Captain America for 15 years. Marvel by mid 90s, is going bankrupt. There's all sorts of crazy shit happening with Marvel, right? Um,
Hmm.
they're in the middle of the Clone Saga and the Onslaught Saga with X-Men, and
Hmm.
it's totally like too bloated. Everything's out of control. Comics aren't selling. He's been taken off Captain America, which was his favorite character, by the way, which is partly why he wrote Captain America for so long. And then Marvel does this really misguided uh, thing called Heroes Reborn. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, but like Heroes Reborn specifically,
Yeah.
where they were like, let's get Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld to come back and reimagine our Marvel characters, but we're going to separate them from the original Marvel universe. right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's where you get the infamous. Have you ever seen that infamous, terrible drawing of Captain America with the massive chest? That's
Yeah, yeah. It's just straight up like a parody,
yeah,
but it's not.
it's
It
it's
looks like a parody.
it's Rob Liefeld's. So everyone's
Yeah,
getting laid
my
off.
goat.
Yeah, everyone's getting laid off at
Yes,
Marvel. It's terrible. Mark Grunwald, I think, had to fire a lot of those people. And it was like a horrible experience for him. Uh, Goes home, leaves the office. The last thing he takes from the office is the first issue of Rob Liefeld's Captain America. So he leaves to Captain America #1, doesn't show up to work the next day, had a fucking heart attack back at his apartment. Um, so in comic book circles, it said that Rob Liefeld's Captain America was so bad it killed Mark Grunwald.
that is so sad,
Yeah,
and also I could say
it's
that's a little funny,
no,
right?
that's the problem. Is it's like it breaks my heart, and also it is funny. Like it sucks that it's funny. I don't think
Yeah,
that
I
obviously
mean,
that's not
Rob
what
Liefeld
really.
does have that effect.
Yeah, obviously that's not what really happened. But goddamn, like it is one of those things where it's like you couldn't write a better ending than that in fiction. You know,
Yeah.
like but yeah, and
I
it's
mean
one.
that's fucking that's brutal.
It
Oh my
is.
god. No
Yeah,
wonder Rob Liefeld's such an asshole.
yeah. I is
The
he mellowed out?
guilt.
People are claiming Rob Liefeld is mellowed out.
I would be shocked if he had. We don't have to get into that,
Him
but
and like Todd McFarlane finally made up. Like they're like friends again.
all right. Well, after the Spawn episode, I'm pro McFarlane. I don't think I could be pro
Yeah.
Liefeld. I'm gonna
Well,
leave it at that.
okay, but I think it's just funny that like Todd McFarlane at one point was like the enemy of comics, and like he kind of lasted long enough where it's like actually maybe he was right.
Yeah, I
And
know. And I'm like, you know what?
he only got in a lawsuit against Neil Gaiman. What did that guy ever do that was wrong? Uh,
Yeah.
it's
With the
like,
benefit of hindsight, like
yeah, it is one of well, I do think it does tamper my view looking back on like that whole era of just where these guys, Liefeld probably was worse because Liefeld just couldn't shut the fuck up in the press, right?
mhm.
Speaking of Peter David, I believe. So, did you know Todd McFarlane? We didn't talk about this in the Spawn episode, but one of Todd McFarlane takes over Incredible Hulk with Peter David. Um, McFarlane was the artist on the initial run of Peter David's Hulk, like the beginning of this like epic Hulk run that Peter David's going to do.
I know we didn't talk about that at all.
Yeah, and he's the one who kind of brings Hulk back to like the more monstrous form. McFarlane, and by the time you get to the '90s, when like all the image stuff is exploding, I believe it was him, McFarlane, and Peter David had a like debate at Comic Con over the state of the industry. Um, and McFarlane, I showed up in his bathrobe as like a fuck you to everyone. Um,
Mhm.
and they had a debate. And I guess, according to people, Peter David won. I don't know if that was at the comic book press, though, which was turning on McFarlane at the time. But it is interesting that they were originally collaborators and they end up in this like debate against each other. Um, but uh, yeah, I highly recommend. I've there's a really good book called The Untold History of Marvel Comics. I highly recommend it. That covers a lot of this stuff. Um, but that
Yeah.
happens after the release of this movie. Um, the Grunwald arc, I guess.
Yeah. Um, so I see this movie towards the end of high school, and fucking Gene and I are like making fun of it. It's a bad movie, the theatrical release, and it's easy to make fun of with the J.D. Salinger's kid faking getting sick so he can steal Ned Beatty's car. Like that's funny.
Yeah,
And I just it was so shocking. I was like, yeah, this is like this was the standard of like terrible films back then. It's like, oh yeah, movie so bad you laugh at, and it's kind of fucking unbelievable to me that like Albert Pune made movies I really love after that.
Hmm.
Even like discounting his official work print of his Captain America movie. Do you know the history of how this cut got released? Basically,
I just know that he was basically like dragging around canisters of this fucking movie for like the rest of his life. Like,
yeah,
I just
he
know
was
that
convinced
detail.
people would like it more. That
Mhm.
it was a movie he was more proud of, and he well, basically like disowned the theatrical
Yeah.
release
Well,
like as
also, it's
much as
really
you could.
to talk about him though. It is this sad moment of like this is his mainstream peak, right? Like
Hmm.
he does movies we like obviously afterwards, like Kickboxer 4 and Doll Man, and stuff like that. But he this could have been a moment where Albert Pune crossed into the mainstream, right? Uh
Hmm.
and it didn't happen partly just because of how he made the movie, and partly because of how the movie was edited and taken away from him. And then bombed at the box office and like had a really limp release. Did it even it was only released theatrically internationally. It wasn't even released theatrically in the United States,
Jesus.
which is kind of embarrassing. I guess they just couldn't find distribution or whatever was going on with Canon in like the downfall era, right? Like just it was like just bad
Yeah.
timing all around for everyone. Um, right. 'Cause there's also this is the weird era where it's like right after New World Pictures owned Marvel Comics for a little bit, which was Roger Corman's company. Roger Corman didn't own New World at the time. I've told this story where they New World bought Marvel, and then the guy was like, "We just bought Superman," and someone had like, "No, we bought Spider Man," and they're like, "Oh fuck." And they tried multiple times to get various Marvel movies made during that era, and they only really succeeded with like there's like a Punisher movie no one remembers, right? Uh, and I think it's with Dolph Lundgren. I could be
It's with
wrong.
Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah.
I actually like that movie.
Okay, I've actually never seen it. Um,
Okay,
s-
maybe we have to talk about it another
hmm.
time.
Yeah, yeah, we'll have an excuse to talk about it.
Yeah.
What else? And I think they did a Nick Fury TV movie starring uh, what's his name?
David
David.
Hasselhoff.
Yes, David Hasselhoff, the man himself. Uh,
Zardu Hasselfrau.
yeah. Um, which I've also never seen. I've seen the picture of him as Nick Fury, but I've never seen that movie.
Yeah, that one's a blind spot for me.
Mm. Also, obviously the first Marvel theatrical movie was Howard the Duck.
Yep. Produced by George
Well,
Lucas himself.
here's the crazy thing: Howard the Duck was the most popular Marvel character in the '70s. Like that's where Marvel was at in the '70s. It weird way. He was the spawn of his era, where he was big for a moment, and they immediately were like, "Yeah, there's franchise potential." And by the time all that kicked into gear, the fad had passed.
Hmm.
Um,
Poor Howard.
yeah, but yeah. So it's just like it's this weird era for Marvel superhero comics. It's post fucking Batman, but like there's a lot of movies in this era that just don't connect in the post Batman whole thing. And Canon had like Captain America and Spider Man at one point, and they never got
Hmm.
Spider Man made, but they I guess, and then they had Superman. They did Superman 4, which was also a disaster. That one's an
Yep.
unsalvageable disaster. Uh,
Yeah, that one's just kind of a bummer.
even though it does have like multiple cuts to it. Um, but yeah, it's
um,
just I don't know, it just and I really think one of the big things that I think hurt the movie in terms of just getting released is we just were not ready, not only for a Captain America movie, but this kind of Captain America movie, right? Um,
yeah.
to go back to your
It's
friend's
strange
analogy,
now.
yeah,
It's stranger then.
to go back to your friend's analogy about Albert Pune being Zack Snyder without a budget, the one parallel I can see is that part of the problem with the Zack Snyder DCU is that they would introduce characters and be like, you know who this is, right? And not bother to establish who they are, you know?
Hmm.
And this Captain America movie does that a lot with its characters, you know? We kind of just start out with Captain America being a thing in his cut of the movie, right? Uh,
Hmm.
and that he doesn't do it to the extreme that Snyder did, and it would play this type of story would play way better in this era where we can do like 20 trailers being like the villain is the Red Skull, right? So like you can give some people the primer as to what's going on, so you can tell a story out of order. Um, but to do that in the 90s when Captain America only is a character that like people know because they know the name, but they don't know shit about who Captain America is, right? Like how many people knew in 1990 that Captain America was frozen in ice for fucking 30 years, right? Like, and then the movie just does that and is like, that's a thing. Just go with it, you know? It's clear that the people working on it love the character, and they love the character to a degree that they didn't think to make the setup more palatable to mainstream audiences. And that's what I love about the movie, but it also makes sense why it was maybe taken away from Pune at a certain level. If your goal is to market a movie and sell it to general audiences, right?
Yeah. I mean, the fucking the bane of this movie's theatrical release is that they make the movie just in chronological order. They make it a series of
Yeah,
events that occur. Like,
and
there's no coming back from that because the
I
movie's so clearly structured, like on
mhm.
an emotional arc.
And I get where that logic comes from because the one problem is uh, the theatrical cut is like just over 90 minutes, right? The
Hmm.
director's cut is just under 2 hours, and there's huge chunks of the director's cut without action, right? And
Hmm.
I feel like the other logic is we have to put stuff in the beginning that's actually action packed because it's a fucking Captain America movie, right?
Yeah.
And the first action scene in Albert Pune's director's cut is an awesome moment of Captain America deflecting a missile by kicking it, right? Of
Yeah.
kicking the wings of it to redirect it so it doesn't hit the White House. But what? So imagine you're someone who you just know Captain America as the name, and you start this movie out with two kids, or just one kid initially, and then there's a missile coming straight at the house. We don't no explanation as to how that happened. There's I guess Captain America is either strapped to it or riding it. You can't tell what's totally going on. He kicks the missile and the effect isn't very good, right?
Mm.
How in any way does that set up who the fuck Captain America is? Even if you want to do something like he's a like it's like even if you want to have a mystery element to the start, right?
Hmm.
Like, which I like that approach. I really like that idea. It's insane to be like, it's a mystery. We're going to slowly discover who Captain America is, but the first thing is going to be the most insane thing he does in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tough nut to crack. But like you, I also love that decision, and I love this movie.
I do
I
too.
think this is a great movie.
It's the second best Captain America movie.
Yeah. If someone told me they thought it was the best one, I wouldn't like fight them,
Mm.
to be honest. Yeah, the big hang up is that like it's very minimal action. It is mostly just like this sort of melancholy story about what if Steve Rogers, who became Captain America, got the chance to be like hero of like not just the country but like to save the world. What if he failed first time out, failed so miserably? The world he returned to is not one he can recognize,
Mm.
which is a very recurring problem
And
for
doesn't even
actual
really
veterans, right?
recognize him, right? And
Hmm.
doesn't
No
like,
one knows he existed.
yeah. Uh, it's just a yeah, like it's like I mean that is the central. That's the setup for Captain America that the movies never really did, right? Winter Soldier does it a
Yeah.
little bit, but they never really did it in the movies. Of the whole, I think it's either Steve Englehart or Steve Gerber, like in one of those like all these guys in the 70s they would like get fed up with Marvel because Marvel treated them like shit and they would leave and they would like go to DC and then they would get fed up at DC and like they all had this, and then they would all try to pivot to either television or movies. And I think it was Englehart was like trying to pitch a Captain America either show, like a cartoon or a movie to some network or something. And it was like, like the cool thing about Captain America is like he's frozen in ice and he's a man at a time. And like he was like, like that's the real threat. Like he doesn't fit in with the modern world. Like it makes him a really tragic character in a lot of ways. And I guess whatever executive just stared at him for a minute was like, we're not doing Shakespeare here. Like
Yeah.
don't do any of that. Like fuck that. And it's not even like that deep. It's just like they could
It's
like
a human character like idea, you
yeah.
know.
It's but it was like this is how little this stuff was like we used to live in an era where people like not only didn't take this stuff seriously, they actively hated it. And now we're in an era where people take this stuff way too seriously, which we are part of that
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he was like, yeah, you go to these people and they're like, what do you mean he was frozen in ice for 30 years? That's dumb. We're not making that. Like that would be. He's like part of the reason they were like we couldn't get a Fantastic Four movie made for years because the executives kept being like, wait, so the smartest man in the world goes to space and he couldn't think of how to put shields on the rocket? That's dumb. We're not doing that. Like that would be the hang up.
Yeah.
It's like that's an attitude you were fighting against to get a movie like this out there. And Pune turned in a movie that feels like it would. It's this feels like a Captain America movie that would have been made in like the mid 2000s, not like in style, but just in structure, right? Like I could much more see this Captain America movie coming later, right? Like
Hmm.
where you can trust the audience to know more about the character going in. Um, but yeah, it's a wild little movie that you could make the argument it's Pune's best. I don't know if I would make that argument, but you could make the argument. And it is a sad like, what if this had hit or at least been received okay, and then Pune could have had an actual Hollywood career, right? Like,
Hmm.
what did we lose in the process of that, Um,
Yeah.
and
Or
that
like,
happened to a
hey,
lot of those
maybe
guys.
like, cause Pune loved the genre stuff. It's not like he was a guy who was like, oh, I want to make a real movie, quote unquote, right? And it's like,
Yeah,
no, he was making real movies, like, but I do think there's another world where this was a success and with his version, or at least because approximately his version, because like this is a work print that was available from Yippee Mother Video, which is now out of print, and I cannot. I'm sure a version of it will be available at some point again, just because the arc of time. But right now it is not publicly available anymore. I'm sure they will continue doing screenings whenever places want to or can or able to. But right now it's a little unavailable. But it is a work print that we saw.
it's not the
I
worst
was lucky
looking
enough to
work
watch it
print.
on the big screen as well.
It's not the worst looking work print I've ever seen either. Like it's not awful. It's
No,
obviously
no,
it's
like
rough around the edges, but it's pretty fucking solid.
yeah, there's like discoloration because the
Mm,
negatives and shit are just old and
mm,
were stored only as well as they could be during
mm.
times. Albert Pune and his wife were often homeless these last like 20 years. Sometimes
Yeah,
they didn't have a place to store stuff properly, and these reels of film were the only thing like he carried from place to place.
yeah.
Like obviously other things, but like this was the one constant. Besides his wife in his life, basically. So there's a lot of sentimental value with that. But even putting that aside, like I do find this movie very moving, and I find it deeply sad. My favorite film critic right now, Priscilla Page, saw it a while back and compared it to The Winter Soldier, I
Yeah.
believe, like in terms of tone, like melancholy tone. Which again, that
Kind
movie
uh,
does have, but again, this is more. This has much more of it, and is much more focused on the drama of it. And I'm pro Winter Soldier, but I'm just saying, like this is
I am pretty pro Winter Soldier too. Although watching this, I was like, oh yeah, they just lifted something directly from this,
mm-hmm.
which is the whole Alzheimer's moment. They gave it to Peggy Carter in Winter Soldier, but that happens here when he visits his old buddy in the nursing home, right? Where
Yep.
and it's much more thematically appropriate in this film because the guy has this whole speech about like everyone's forgotten everyone, and then like he literally has this speech and then immediately forgets who Captain America is again. Like
Yeah.
it's a really depressing moment. Um, and yeah, it's just so maybe I think a little bit lesser of Winter Soldier now, unless that was some parallel thinking going on, or that's something in the comics I don't know about. It could have happened. Um, but yeah, um, it's I don't know. I don't know how Winter Soldier is still kind of the one I like, right? Like,
Oh,
but
okay. You're not pro First Avenger.
I'm pro the first half of First Avenger.
That's right. That's right.
I really
Okay.
don't like the second half of that movie. Um, it's just so, like I don't know. It's just that's so rushed for me. Um, it's like yeah, this really good setup, and then like they just don't know how to do anything with it. It was like it was that weird era where Marvel got like really good at doing origin stories of the characters, but then like fumbled the rest. And it's like usually a lot of times the origin is like the least interesting part of these characters in the comics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the origin was like even Jack Kirby and Joe Simon, the creators of Captain America, were like, we literally we barely thought about the origin. We just needed an excuse to get to the action. Like they're like super serum, fuck it. Like it's literally just to get the character out there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah. And
yeah.
they do the origin here too, and
Mhm.
it's still I still like this version quite a bit. There's also an origin for Red Skull here that they don't give him in the first Avenger or any
Yeah.
other comic, basically, where he is now Italian. And I
Mm.
know there was a lot of pushback on that from like the deeper comic nerds for a long time, and I'm sure they still are like, "Why is he Italian?"
Mhm.
But I don't care. I find that character very sad here as well. He was just some kid taken from his home, forced
Yeah.
to be
And they
a
tie his
monster for the military.
they kind of do a Batman thing where they tie his origin directly in with Captain America's, right? Like
Yeah.
which is an interesting choice. Um and yeah, I don't was the shift just because they had an Italian actor or because they were going to be shooting in Italy like because of tax breaks or whatever? Like was
Yeah, they
that
were supposed to shoot in Italy and end up not shooting in Italy.
Oh,
They ended up
okay.
shooting in where the fuck did they shoot? Yugoslavia because it was
Oh, sure.
cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hey, whatever. Stephen Tolkien also talked about that in an interview I saw where he was like, it looked more like Italy than Italy to them. So,
Hey, I didn't notice. So
yeah, no, it doesn't look bad. Yeah.
but yeah, I find it interesting. I mean, the thing is, I guess people, Red Skull's a Nazi in the comics, so people maybe want to like just be, uh, hey, what's the weird? All right, what was that? I think we had this conversation, but I've already forgotten it because it probably didn't matter. What was that weird Captain America arc where he was a Hydra agent?
Oh, I think that's the Nick Spencer run. That's when I'm dropping out of comics. That was like
Yeah,
2014, I think.
but was that a genuinely bad run, or was that a the internet is overreacting about this?
Uh, it might be an overreaction. Let me see. Usually the Reddit comments give me a good like generalization of how people feel
So I
about
remember
this
the
really
attitude at
quickly.
the time was you cannot make Captain America a Nazi, right? And
Hmm.
it was, but like, I don't know. I was like, this is obviously framed as a bad thing to have happened, right? Like,
Yeah, I
whereas
remember
not,
that too. Like I didn't read that run, but that like yeah, no, it's not like good. It's like when fucking Spider-Man died in like 2013 or whatever for Superior Spider-Man, you know? Cuz they were just mixing it up and it's like obviously these people don't hate Peter Parker. They might now, but like obviously they don't hate him to the point of like they're gonna get rid of him forever. Like by that point, we should have all known, or you should have all known that these characters weren't going anywhere. They're gonna
but I will
revert
say,
back to a status quo.
as someone who wasn't reading Spider-Man because I stopped reading Spider-Man in a violent rage post fucking One More Day as a kid, I
Yeah,
they
yeah,
were
of
like,
course.
this is good, get kids to read comics, and I was a kid reading comics, and that shit pissed me the fuck off. But anyway, when so to not so to basically ignore Spider-Man comics for I don't know maybe like 5 years, 6 years by that point, and then to be like. Spider-Man dies, like, okay, people die in comics all the time. It's like, yeah, but like Dr. Octopus like took over his body and now he's gonna be Spider-Man. And then it was just like a also it was like the 600th issue. And
Yeah, it was a big one. It was a big anniversary one.
and it was
Maybe
just one of
that's why
those
people were also pissed.
What's thing, it's like you pick up the 600th issue because you're like, yeah, that'd be cool to own it. And then you read it, you're like, the fuck is happening?
Hmm.
That's a weird pivot. And I get that Superior Spider-Man ended up working, but like if you don't know what's going on in Spider-Man comics at the time, it's going to sound like everyone there has lost their fucking minds.
Yeah. And they do. I'm gonna give. I want to give the criticism some credence as well. They do have to sort of make everyone else a little dumber, which is just happens with the crossover stuff, basically in any iteration, depending on who the protagonist is. Where the
Yeah.
Avengers aren't like, "Hey, Spider-Man's acting weird." It's like, "Hey, Spider-Man, you're being an asshole," and then like they don't really spend a lot of time questioning it because they
Is
want
there
to do other stuff with that premise.
is there an in-universe explanation as to why no one just reads Spider-Man's mind?
I don't remember. I don't think so with that
Because
one.
like literally that's like the power for half the Avengers.
Yeah, yeah.
That is a problem with comics. Like you just have to go, DC has the worst one where it's just like, why doesn't Superman just solve this problem? Because he can literally solve everything, right?
Yeah. Why
You
doesn't
know?
Superman do that? Why doesn't Martian Manhunter just turn to them or read their
Yeah,
mind or some shit?
yeah.
Yeah.
You
For
just
for
have
me, the
to.
big takeaway
Mm.
is that Spider-Man, the Avengers aren't his friends. To me, that was the takeaway, and that's been my takeaway, and why I'm adamant about why Spider-Man should never be part of that. He should help out when the time comes, but they're work colleagues. They're
Well,
not
he's
his
in.
buddies.
Bendis is the one that puts him on the Avengers, right? That was
Yeah, but
Bendis's
I like
choice.
Bendis, so.
Yeah, like Bendis is when Bendis did it, at least initially, it worked, right? Like I think that was
Hmm.
probably like the one time it worked. And the one thing I think is funny is that I think part of Spider-Man revealing a secret identity was Bendis wanted to do that, like which happens like during the Civil War arc, right? I think
Hmm.
that was a Bendis idea, and then it was one of the things that was like immediately undone by One More Day. And then over in the Avengers
Yeah.
comic, he just revealed himself again to the Avengers.
So stupid.
Everything
It's
is
so
everything's
stupid. Okay,
everything's
so I did
dumb.
a cursory look about the Secret Empire
Mhm.
2017 comic that Nick Spencer did. That's Evil Captain America.
Mhm.
Um, it was masterminded by the Red Skull, who
Well, yeah.
changed who rewrote Captain America's memories and shit like that to become an agent of Hydra. And
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, obviously,
Yeah. It
like,
sounds like the idea was to be like, hey, look, ultra patriotism can be easily weaponized to support a fascist agenda. That was like the idea I got reading it from a distance, right? Like that you can essentially reprogram patriotism into nationalism, right?
hmm,
And
yeah.
I'm like, that's an interesting idea. I'm not saying it works. I've never read the comic, but I'm like, that's an interesting idea. And people are like, what year was that though?
It was like 2016, 2017.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. We were like, we didn't want to risk it, right? Like
yeah,
that was
yeah.
where we're at as a culture. I was thinking about even though this guy, I know people insist this guy's funny, but like I don't know. Who's I just forgot his name. The guy who got fired from SNL like right before he got on the show and now is like big in the Rogan sphere. Um,
Oh, yeah.
Shane Gillis.
Shane Gillis. Thank you.
Who I know some people like Shane Gillis. I think he's okay. But
Yeah,
that
not a
I really
fan.
feel like getting fired from SNL was a like the election just happened. We don't want to risk a guy like that who maybe being a piece of shit getting on SNL, right? Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, so but like that there was a couple moments like that where it felt like we were getting wins in the culture just because we couldn't get him in the White House, right? Like
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like everyone kind of like rags on like there's internet memes about like 2016 feminism. Like that is the like I said that and people knew what I'm talking about.
yeah.
But like, look, not that that's perfect and that we should have accepted like that as a bare minimum. But it's like, look, it was a direction. It doesn't mean you couldn't
Yeah,
have improved upon it. You
yeah,
know.
and I think, in my opinion, I think we did improve upon it. I think we all kind of like started slowly waking up to shit after that, right?
Hmm.
In
Yeah,
my
where it's like, no, no,
opinion,
no, that's not good enough. We could do better here.
yeah. And look, we all had to start somewhere. And also, I look, let's go back. 2017, there was an attitude, even from me, being like, how long is Trump really gonna do this, right? Like, there was still kind of an attitude of like, he's not gonna last the 4 years, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, no, not only is it going to last 4 years, there's going to be a pandemic, and then they're going to storm the Capitol. Like, it's like, no, it is going to go bad. Like,
Hmm.
so I do think there was an attitude like we don't need to like do that much because it won't fully go that way. Whereas I feel like that, thankfully, that attitude seems very different this time, where we are taking it more seriously. Although the negative side of that is that some people are taking it so seriously they're just basically giving up before trying anything. Um,
Hmm.
which if you're one of those guys, go dunk your head in some cold water every morning until you get your fucking head checked. Um,
Yeah.
but
Not to make too big a thing of it, but recently something occurred in the Twitter sphere where notable cynics who never seem to enjoy anything, despite being prominent discussers of film, um, have have kind of been like dogpiled on recently because people don't enjoy their presence on the internet, and it was like, okay, what these are human beings ultimately.
I don't
If they
really
can
even
dole it
call
out, they
anyone.
should be able to take it.
Hmm,
But it was like, oh yeah, people are just kind of over the cynic thing. I
yeah.
think, which is
Was this
nice.
around the movie Sinners by any chance?
No, this literally is like 2 days ago
Okay.
from the time of
Hmm,
recording, and
okay.
it's still going. So
What all right, can I without giving too much away? Is there a specific movie it's happening around?
not about the movie, but someone was just dunking on Sean Fennessy from the Big Picture podcast, and
Oh,
then
okay.
Sean Fennessy just posted the DMs that person sent them where they were asking for like,
Oh, it's
hey, for my podcast, I was trying to rally a bunch of notable critical film voices to talk about their favorite movies. Here's what I need from you, like reaching out to them. And then because this guy was shitting on Sean, who they reached out to like the same year earlier, like
so
earlier this year.
this isn't just a like, oh, people have attitude. This is like a genuine drama moment that's happening out on the fucking Twitter sphere.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
Like,
Well, now
do you know do you know Sean Fantasy?
I know Sean Fennessy is, but now you got to tell me who the other fucker is.
Oh, okay. It's
Unfortunately, I know you wanted to keep it on the down low, but you got like,
yeah. Maybe
unfortunately.
I'll cut this bit,
All right.
but it's this guy Eddie who does the extended clip podcast, and we I never had a problem with him, but I always saw, he's a dick, dude. He's just a
Okay.
dick.
I have never heard of him.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah. Somehow he was one of the only people able to get an interview with the director of The Empty Man. So I saw he did a good interview. I mean, he's not like an untalented like person. This guy, um, but he's just such an asshole all the time. You know.
oh shit! Did he lock his account? I've seen this photo before. Oh, that's the
Oh,
poster
he
for
might
the
have.
the
Yeah.
devil,
Well,
probably. That's
people
what.
are really dogging on him, and the only people going to his defense are the other assholes in his immediate circle.
All right.
So,
Well,
like,
I can't say I know who Eddie is. I've maybe seen him. I've maybe like even liked the review of his. Oh, he gave the Smashing Machine 1.5 stars. All right. Um, we're all going to the World's Fair, 2 stars. Okay. Um, okay. Okay. Okay.
you're
Um,
right.
it's not a good sign when your top reviews are negative reviews.
Hmm.
I'm just gonna say that. Like, if all your top reviews are negative reviews, I think mine are, to be fair. But I have like, but those are like 20 likes. So, um, no, my top reviews are Pay It Forward, which is 0.5 star, and Sinners, which I gave 5 stars. But again,
Oh, nice.
those are on the 20 likes scale. All right. I am gonna scroll down. Sorry, I'm gonna fucking dunk on this guy. Sorry, I'm sorry to contribute to a mob, but now I'm
No,
here.
no, it's fine. I might actually genuinely cut this. I
Okay.
don't think they'll hear this, but
Oh
yeah,
my
go ahead.
God,
Go
this
ahead.
is hysterical. All right. I'm gonna scroll through his top rated reviews,
Oh God.
and I'm gonna get until the first movie that's over 3 stars. Right?
Hmm.
All right. These are the top voted, right? So this is like what this is what Letterboxd over. So he's not just the problem; it's Letterboxd. Um, we're all going to the World's Fair, 2 stars. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022, 1.5 star. Yeah, bad movie, right? Um,
Hmm.
Zone of Interest, 3 stars. So he's a little colder on Zone of Interest than most people. Um, Jojo Rabbit, half a star. All right, I'll say the 3.5 is coming soon. But first, The Fablemans, 1/2 star.
Jesus
The
Christ.
most self-aggrandizing film I can recall. The Portrait of an Artist, a superhero origin story. The family drama is unbearably maudlin, with Kushner's theatrical sensibility regarding dialogue leading to some repulsive scenes of histrionics performed. Who are you? Um, anyway, his first 3.5 star is Grown Ups 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
All right, he gave F for Fake and Licorice
What?
Pizza 5 stars.
Okay.
He
That's good.
doesn't seem to like a lot of movies. Um, Videodrome only 4 stars. I guess Videodrome wasn't worthy of getting 5 stars. I wonder why. I'm trying to see an older movie he was willing to be like, I know everyone likes this movie, but fuck this movie. And I'm not coming across because that's usually the real tell, right?
Hmm.
When culture hasn't, uh, when you can be like, hey, look, I know people like this, but I don't like it. Not seeing anything like that so far. Um, Good lord.
Well, unpleasant person, it seems. I think even Ethan dunked on him, which was nice to see. But yeah, it was just a moment where everyone just kind of was just like, "No, fuck this guy. What the fuck is wrong with you?"
The
Like,
Materialist,
not
one
that
star.
I
The
uh,
Materialist. Um,
well, that one, people seem very divided on that one on film Twitter,
I'm just
and
saying,
I haven't seen it yet, but people are weird about Celine
I,
Song.
I am scrolling through his reviews though, and I am not finding a movie that like people are like, hey, I consider this a classic, and even him being just like, not for me. So like the guy's really good at dunking on more recent movies. Maestro, 1 star. I know a lot of people don't like Maestro, but they're all wrong. Um,
I like
so
it too.
I know Maestro's a good movie. What the fuck were people smoking?
Oh well, he wanted Bradley Cooper wanted an Oscar, which makes him an enemy of the state.
Yeah, exactly. How dare he?
Yeah, how dare someone in the industry want an Academy Award?
Yeah.
No one's
How
ever done that before.
no one's ever campaigned. He invented campaigning for the Academy Award. I don't think people talk about that enough. That he actually invented that.
I mean, that's
Um,
basically gerrymandering if you think about it.
yeah, when you think about it, he's actually anti-democracy, and his Maestro is a fascist work by extension. I think we can all agree upon this. I am not joking. I have maybe like I missed it because I'm scrolling really fast, but I'm on 14 pages into his top reviews, and I have not seen him like dare to give a noted classic 3 stars.
Hmm. Interesting guy.
Batman Begins 3 stars.
You know what? Higher than I expected from this
Sorry, I
guy. So
thought this would pay out a little quicker than it did, but I'm going, and it's just what do you give Broken Arrow? Gave Broken Arrow 4.5 stars. All right.
no,
Um,
no, Broken Arrow rules.
now Broken Arrow rules, but it's also like, hey, dude, like I get you want to be a guy. You want to be a guy. You don't want to like movies. You just want to be a guy. All right, he gave Blow Up 3 stars. I know people are iffy on Blow Up, but there's the first one I hit that he was like, okay, I don't love Blow Up, even though some people are like Blow Up is a classic in the Sight and Sound top 100, right?
Hmm.
So he gave that 3 stars, and that
Well,
was uh, on page 19. That was top reviews.
good job, guy.
Yeah, apologies to that guy. I didn't mean to dunk on you.
Nah,
But
yeah.
maybe you don't
Most of
like
that will get cut.
movies. Maybe you don't like movies. You just want to be a movie guy. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe like the popularity of liking movies or talking about movies because liking movies doesn't seem to be his thing, which is fine. You don't have to like
He
movies.
loves a lot of movies. It's just none of the ones that have come out in the last 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, we could get into the whole thing about like the industry with that sort
I
of
mean, look,
thinking, but
I will say we're partly contributing to what I see as this weird rise of film nerd as identity and the way geek used to be an identity, right?
hmm
And you saw that a little bit with the people being like, uh, they were like, A24 makes great movies, right? Like the average person knows what A24 is now all of a sudden, right? And
yeah,
then,
but they
but
don't
then
know
you,
the filmmakers.
but then you also saw the backlash to the A24 thing. So like there's like this really big debate on like we're having the true gamer debate, but for cinephiles.
hmm
And it's part of it is letterbox fueled, and like I'm not trying to blame letterbox or be like letterbox is bad, because I feel like anytime you go like, hey, letterbox is contributing to a problem, or X is contributing to a problem, people are like, they immediately turn it into like doom and gloom bullshit, which is what I'm not trying to say. I'm just saying that I think that we, because social media is so shit, we will congregate on a website like Letterbox, which then develops its own internal politics and hierarchies and cliques and dramas and shit like that. It's amazing how even a micro community online can develop interpersonal dramas, right? Like,
hmm
I don't know what that says about the human condition, but uh like I've been in gay fan art circles where like it will fucking shit will go the fuck down in a drama, and it's over people who are maybe getting like 30 people looking at their work. Like it's I just, that's wild to me. And I think again, I think we're contributing a little bit to it because it's this thing of like we like Albert Pune, right? We've seen Albert Pune's
hmm
movies, and then you turn, what's that? There's that tweet. It's the best tweet about being a film nerd ever. Of just where someone's like, guy who's seen 100 movies. It's like 2001: Space Odyssey is my favorite movie. And it's like guy who's seen 1,000 movies. It's like you got to get on Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance.
Yep.
Like that really is the art. But I think it's the thing we do where, and I did it with comic books too, where you like the corny stuff, and then you have like a rebellion to it, right? Where you're like, no, that shit was kiddie shit, that shit was goofy shit. I don't like goofy shit anymore. I like real shit. And then you kind of realize, oh wait, there was value in the old corny shit too, right? Like it doesn't have to be a black and
hmm
white thing. And unfortunately, I think that now that was the whole arc initially, but now it's turned into reclaiming is turning into, I don't know, like an identity signifier or something. I'm not sure if I'm using the right words, right? Like my whole
No,
thing is
but
I
when
think
you brought that up earlier to me, like I think you're onto something. I
mm,
think that is gonna be the curve of like this next decade or so of like culture, you know. Like
yeah,
I think I've never felt more positive about the future of the industry than when you just said that, even though that is also a scary thought, because that
yeah.
means like so many people are going to be driven to movies like, oh, I want to see it in that format. I want to IMAX and Dolby and shit, or mostly IMAX because that's the one that has the best marketing behind it right now. And then they'll probably install more IMAX screens in other places. They're installing another one in LA. It's in the worst possible location, but that's okay because that means the tourists will go there, and it'll be easier for me to get parking in Burbank and Universal City Walk.
Yeah.
So it's all gonna work out. But then
Here's
the negative side of that is something that we're gonna have to deal with in the
here's
future.
here's the message I want to deliver to people. You have to, if you're one of the people who drives culture, even though on a micro level, if you are a video essayist or if you write stuff online or if you're a tweeter, you have to find a way to make the title of the thing you produce something not inflammatory. You can't go full inflammatory, but you have to be like, you are using Dolby wrong or something like that, right? Like that has to be the title of the thing.
hmm
You're right. But then when you actually write the thing, you can't go out and just shame people for being wrong. You have to you have to actually try to educate them. You have to use the like drama or people are dumb. I'm about to give you the super secret smart information, right? Uh, you have to use that as the gateway to actually educate people, and then take time to educate people in a way. that makes them feel part of a secret club, but doesn't make the club actually feel exclusionary, right? Like you have to try to be an evangelist that also gets more people in the tent. You're not just doing it to make it a club, because if we don't do that, we're gonna end up like gamers.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that either. Um,
Mm.
but I think my whole thing is I think everyone on Letterboxd thinks that if they saw the thing in 1982, they would have been the one to be like, I recognize this as a masterwork immediately.
Hmm.
And you know what? I've come to terms with. I don't think I would have liked the thing if I saw it in 1982.
That's a whole different world. You would have been a different person.
Would have been a different person if, depending on the age I'm at and how much I engage with film. Imagine sitting down for a movie that's like it's a mystery. Who's the alien? And then it never answers that question really in a satisfying narrative way. It's just because there's a part in the thing where they literally go like it can only be these two people, right? And then the movie's
Hmm.
like, actually, it's neither of them. And that's the point of the thing, right? That's the point
Yeah.
of that movie. But I can see that at certain points in my life, I would have been like, well, that's a mistake. The movie made a mistake. And I feel like
Hmm.
I would have responded negatively to the thing. I'm the only one brave enough to say that, Diego. I'm the only
Oh
brave.
no, of
I'm
course,
I'm
of
the only
course.
brave man on Letterboxd.
No. The ghost of William Goldman will probably agree with you.
Well, he didn't like the thing.
No, but I don't know actually, but he always had this thing of like with the Big Lebowski. He
Yeah, where
was
he's like, the
like,
Big
it
Lebowski
doesn't.
should end with bowling, and
Yeah,
it's
he's like
like,
the whole movie's about that, and it's like, well, no, but like structure, like you see where he's coming from because he's like a tried and true like structure guy. Like he's
yeah.
one of the greats, you know,
I mean, he can do
arguably the
what
great.
the Coen brothers do in a more conventional structure, right? Like he can tell
Yeah.
genuinely great stories with just a more conventional beat by beat structure that also doesn't feel overly conventional. So more
Hmm.
people should imitate him, frankly, in terms of how he structures stuff. Like I feel like we get a lot of people that don't even come close to his stuff seems daring compared to a lot of modern stuff, right?
Yeah,
Like
really. And if anyone's curious, pick up any book about screenwriting from William Goldman. Rest in peace, King. They're all terrific. I don't even have all of them, but I will vouch for any of them because the ones I do have
yeah,
are just deeply insightful.
let's use this moment, the Captain America episode, to recommend the best filmmaking books. Um,
Yes.
that this is probably the moment we should do it, right? Um,
Yeah.
Making movies by Sidney Lumet, probably the best one.
Oh yes.
Um, I mean, it's genuinely a great book about filmmaking, right?
Hmm.
That- so we got that. For editing, you want In the Blink of an Eye, right? It's probably the
Yes.
best book
Sorry, hang on. I
with
want to make sure I get the.
by Walter Murch. And then for beginners, you want the Five C's of cinematography.
That one is maybe the most important one for anybody looking to make a
Five C's of
important
cinematography.
images. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also, guess what? It's probably the shortest of the ones we're recommending. So,
Yeah.
which is why this is partly why I'm on Orson Welles versus the Fincher side, where Fincher's like, no, you can't learn everything about filmmaking in a day. And I'm like, you can't learn it in a day. But like, the Seven Seas of Cinematography is not a hard book to wrap your head around, frankly. And it's got value on every single page, right?
Hmm.
Um, I would also recommend understanding comics, even though it has nothing to do with film. But I think that book is actually really good in terms of understanding visual arts. Um, so, um, highly recommend
You know
that.
what? I gotta recommend Sculpting in Time, the Andrei
Mm.
Tarkovsky book.
Oh yes.
Um, that one I read that one. God, that was even pre-pandemic, and it's the shit. I have a PDF of it, so
Mm.
I didn't order that, but to my credit, at least
Is
it
it
wasn't available at the time.
is it actually
There's a
like not really
paperback available
available?
now.
Oh, okay, right on.
It- yeah, and it's only $34. $34.70, which was not the case when I was looking to get it. So
Yeah, some of these books are like
just
becoming harder to get, which is unfortunate. Um, I would also recommend in terms of like visual stuff and narrative stuff, Manga in Theory and Practice, um, which is a very good book about manga, you know. Um, and I think by the guy who did Jojo Rabbit. I mean, not Jojo Rabbit, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Jesus fucking Christ, I should be shot for that. Um, good Lord. Um, but that's a very good book. I think books about other visual art mediums can be very informative when it comes to film, in my opinion.
yeah,
So
me too. Um,
so there
all
you go.
all this stuff is essential to
Yeah.
making like
Oh, and
movies that matter.
Stephen King's on writing. He's also very good when it comes to writing. Don't listen to him
Oh
when it
shit,
comes to
yeah.
structure, but he's got very good advice on just like sitting down and actually writing. Um,
Yeah. Oh, did we say Rebel Without a Crew yet? Did I miss
no, we
that?
did not. But I
Yeah.
was going to ask about this because I had Rebel Without a Crew when I was younger, and I had Lloyd Kaufman's Make Your Own Damn Movie. Uh,
hmm
uh, I wonder how relevant those books are today, though. Um,
I don't. Here's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up. I don't think it's a one-to-one comparison. I do think if you want to go out and like be inspired and you're like fuck it, I'm gonna take the wild swing. I can't think of many things that are more inspirational than hearing Robert Rodriguez talk about anything ever.
yeah.
I love him, but especially his book Rebel Without a Crew, or how a 23-year-old filmmaker with $7,000 became a Hollywood player.
No, 100%. Like it's a great read, obviously. I do think it's funny though that like I think a lot of film nerds we all have like similar origin stories about like when we were like, "Oh, I want to actually make this stuff." And I think for a lot of people, it's the Jaws log book, which is about the making of Jaws or anything about Jaws. And it's just so funny that book is playing like making Jaws was a fucking nightmare. It was a disaster. Everyone was losing their minds. Everything went wrong. And then a bunch of us read that and go like, "I want to do that." So, yeah, those are that's gonna this is gonna be nestled away in the Captain America episode. Um,
Yeah, but
this is
I'm glad we actually talked about this.
this is for you, Dan Doherty. Your dreams of becoming a filmmaker are not dead.
Yeah, there you go. Fuck yeah,
You're,
Dan.
you're gonna get there someday, Dan. And if you don't, I'm gonna show
Yeah.
up at your house and fucking just beat you with something.
Watch Dan be like, yeah, I actually never listened to the Captain America episode. Like, that's the
Well,
one.
that would be that. Dan seems to listen. Dan, do you listen to all of them? Like, what do you? Because I know some people. I have some friends who are like, I haven't seen the movie, so I didn't listen to that. I'm like, it's totally fine. In fact, don't listen to any of the episodes. But I feel like Dan might be one of the guys who just actually does listen to every episode.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I know at least one or two other people that do, and I appreciate you all greatly.
I'm shocked. I am genuinely shocked to this day that people listen.
Yeah, I have no idea how that happened. So I went
If
to
you
LA Comic
saw,
Con, and some people had mentioned that, like, people I'd never met before, like, oh yeah, I listen. I'm like, you seem well adjusted. What are you doing?
if you saw what I looked like right now, you would never listen to me about anything on anything. I'm dressed like shit. I just rolled out of bed and just started talking about fucking Albert Pune's Captain America. What the fuck has gone wrong with my life?
Or what's gone right?
No, this is the definition of things going wrong.
No.
I hate
To
to break
to
to you.
give
Just being on a podcast is a signal that something has gone really wrong.
That's why there's so many of them now.
Yeah, it might not be
People
your
are
fault. Like
sick.
like the industry is fucked up. A lot of industries are fucked up, you know. As Joe Rogan says, there's only 250 comedians alive in the United States right now. It's an endangered species. They all got to pivot the podcast to stay alive. Um, it's about creating an environment where they can thrive, like the mothership. But you know, uh, but it's also a signal that things are bad. When does the White House have like an official podcast where like it's not like I'm not talking about like they just have like an intern doing it. I mean like the president is doing it.
If it was the president from Albert Pune's Captain America, I would be more than happy
I
to
guess we
tune
should
in.
talk about Ronnie Cox.
Yeah. Ronnie Cox, who, according to Stephen Tolkien, also was instrumental in the dialogue for the president. Because Stephen Tolkien, this is actually kind of important for the political context of the movie. Coming after the 80s, Stephen Tolkien was like, the only good thing that came out of the 80s was my kids.
Mm.
It was a horrible year. I mean, there was a horrible decade
Mm.
for the country. And the cynicism bled into the screenplay. And Ronnie Cox, I guess, was a guy who really agreed with him. And so they're like, let's really fuck it. Let's go harder with this dialogue. And the president straight up says, like, we need to basically bankrupt the world to save it.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't matter. And that's a fucking crazy thing to put in any work of art, let alone a Captain America movie, where the president is saying, we need to save the environment. We need to do more for the planet because we're killing it. And if we don't turn this around, there will not be an us. And Ronnie Cox was like, we should go harder.
It is great of just like, again, I think I've talked about a podcast of being like, the president really can't go on the air and just say like, if we don't do this, we're all fucked, right? Like the president can't do that. And then this is a movie where the president literally just does that. And then here, all right, there seems to be some miscommunication. I don't know if this is an editing issue or something, but because the opening is actually like really grim, where it's just the black screen and we just hear like the recordings of like Nixon and fucking FDR and Reagan and shit like that, right? And then Ronnie Cox kind of comes in being like, I'm running the president. There seems to be some disagreement as to whether or not he won by the slimmest margin in American history, or if he's an overwhelmingly popular president. There seems to be some disagreement in the screenplay there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and it is,
Again, this interview I saw with Tolkien, just like from this year or last year, I think, was very helpful because people asked about certain discrepancies in that, and he was like, "Yeah, that must have been a mistake then." Like, sorry about that.
That's cool. He's at least really like honest about it. I mean, I guess you would be at this point. Like, what do you? No one at this point. No one's trying to save their ass. But like, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But yeah, it does seem. I don't know. Just. But it's interesting because it gives two different reads, which is one. The read is one. He wins by a narrow margin. It's kind of like a John F. Kennedy type thing of just he represents a future, but there's like obviously we're at a tipping point where we can't decide on what future we want. Right, half the country wants one way, half the country wants another way. And then the other read is that he ran on a platform of we're all gonna fucking die, and he won overwhelmingly.
You know what? You learn it in grade school, but it's important to reiterate it. Sometimes honesty is the best policy.
I mean, the embarrassing thing is that's why Trump won. People think he's honest. Like we
Mm-hmm.
know he's not, but because he doesn't carry himself in the way we've learned politicians carry themselves, he comes across as an honest guy, right? Like
Yeah.
he tells it like it is, you know. I don't even know. Is he dead yet? Like, is he gonna be dead by the time this thing drops? He's looking terrible.
He looks fucking awful.
I I will
Your
say
lips to God's
it's not
ears.
it's not even the whole like he's old. Like being president sucks. Like you've seen that picture of Lincoln beginning of presidency 4 years later. You look at Obama, fucking
Yeah.
fucking black don't crack. No, no, not in Obama's case. Like fucking that shit that he is about to. If he was in the office for 3 more days, his head would have split open. Like it's not fun being president of the United States. So, um, so good luck to Ronnie Cox, I guess. That now that the coup is done. Um, it is just funny
um.
watching him play like a warm president, though, right?
Yeah. After
Like,
Total Recall and
yeah, I'm
RoboCop.
just so used to him being the like son of a bitch, asshole, piece of shit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
When I saw this at the Big Bad Film Festival here in Glendale, California, and I was there for the entire weekend watching movies with my pals, my buddies, and my friend Jordan, who had never seen any version of the Captain America movie before. They were showing trailers for like they were going to do the movie, right?
mm.
And he was like, "Whoa, Ronnie Cox in that? Is he the bad guy?" And I was like, "Oh no, no, he's not." No, and he was like, "What?" Like, really? And it was just like, yeah, especially in that era, like that he's primed for that, you know. But
Yeah.
no, he's just a good guy. He was
I'll
a
give him credit.
kid, the
He
only
is.
kid who was inspired by Captain America because he was the only kid who saw him.
Yeah. Ned Beatty's in there, though. We got Ned Beatty running around.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So,
Who believes because they've been friends their whole lives, and I found that stuff really sweet. Like it is a little like borderline like saccharine,
yeah.
but I mean these characters are for children at the end of
Hmm.
the day, right? So like, what better way to like emulate that than by having kids like basically have their wish fulfillment through him. Well, I
Hmm.
say wish fulfillment, but like spoilers, only one of them makes it to the end of the movie.
Yeah, Ned Beatty gets
Um,
shot. Uh,
yeah, but he
he
still
gets it
believes in Captain America.
after Captain America stole his fucking car, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets shot in the back. And he's got a secret Captain Midnight Dakota ring. Right? It is a very like hero. Like I mean, how much did Joss Whedon take from this for fucking the Coulson moment in Avengers?
Oh, that is a little. Yeah. You know what? The MCU is basically founded on the bones of this
You're saying
movie.
this is the good MCU? Not
It's
that
the good one without qualifiers.
yeah, it doesn't have the like dumb jokes that all those ones have. Um
No, there is some hokey, goofy stuff in it. Like even apart from like the intentional stuff. Like Red Skull has a daughter in this one, which I think is fine. It's interesting perspective on like the generational like
and
difference between him and Captain America at this point.
she's kind of
And
like
she also has
sexy
like
killer
her
lady. Like
secret espionage squad of Italian baddies.
yeah. So there's a lot going on with that element of the story.
Yeah. Again, God bless Albert Pune.
Well,
That
that's
dude
the
was.
funny thing is that it's the three things this movie is. It's an Albert Pune movie, it's a Captain America movie, and it's like a kids film, right? Like it's like all three of those
Yeah.
things, and those things really shouldn't mesh together, and they kind of don't. But it's funny to watch them all put together, and it is what we used to. I mean, that's why Spider-Man 2 works. It's like that's a Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, right?
Hmm.
Like it's these elements that really shouldn't work together, but they sometimes you can make them work. Um, Maybe you shouldn't aim for it. I kind of just have to give in to your own instincts, I guess. Because I think that's what Pune really does is just he knows where his strengths are and where his interests are, and he goes for that, right?
Yeah. And
And
he really loves the human form. Like, not even just out of, like, a sense of, like, horniness, although, like, hey, I'm sure that was there, too. Nothing wrong with that. He's, by all accounts, he seemed like just the sweetest guy, and, like,
yeah,
people like working with him. But he always loves, like, the, like, muscle built bodybuilding. Like, it's in all of his stuff, not just for men, for women as well. Like, the protagonist of the Nemesis sequels is like the buffest woman I've ever seen. And he shoots the shit out of her, you know?
yeah.
And then so I was like, oh, I guess we're not going to get a lot of that in the direct. Oh, he's at the gym. Got it. Okay, there they go. Like,
He literally goes to like Gold's Gym or some shit. Like,
yeah.
I will say the one issue this movie kind of like no version can get around is that like no offense to him, but Matt Salinger doesn't exactly like the world on fire, right? Um,
No, I think
I
he's good though, but
I think he was
I don't.
oversold
Yeah,
in terms of his badness, right? Like I think some people were like, "Oh God, he's terrible. He can't act." I wouldn't say that. I just think that he's playing a very strange character, very strangely, right?
mm-hmm.
And I think that uh, maybe hurts the film a little bit. I don't know if it hurts it, but it is something where you have to kind of get into the rhythms of that performance.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it. Yeah, you're not gonna walk away like, oh wow, Chris Evans was really great. I didn't know he had that in him. And then the five of us that saw Sunshine were like, what the fuck are you talking about? He always
Yeah.
had that in him. Yeah, Matt Salinger doesn't have that effect, but I do think he's good. I just, I wouldn't call him great, but he's maybe the weak link. Versus Ronnie Cox and Ed Beatty, obviously they're fucking terrific. Who the fuck is Michael Nori, who plays the lieutenant that gets Alzheimer's later because of the age. He's very good in basically like two or three scenes. Like I
Yeah.
really liked his performance in this, and Kim Gillingham, who plays Bernie Stewart and Sharon Stewart, who is not Sharon Carter, but obviously they're like
Sharon.
little,
Yeah.
yeah, just Sharon. I think she's really great in both roles as well.
Mm.
This is just a nerd hang up that I've always had, and I definitely have it with the MCU, and they do it too. I've never been a fan of him with Sharon Carter. I think it's weird.
Yeah, I think it's
It's
one of those things
always
where
weird.
you have to think about it. It's like one of those things where it was established in like the 60s, right? Like this whole
Hmm.
like her character, it's not they just kind of like he needs a love interest and this is who we got. And then like now what do you do with that element, right? You know?
Yeah.
Like what do you do with Captain America though with like a love interest, you know? Um like
I think I've given my spiel because this ties into how I feel about the ending of Endgame. I think Captain America and Iron Man have the opposite endings. I think they need the opposite endings of each other in that
mm,
movie. I think Steve Rogers is the one who tragically never gets to live his full life. But
mm,
I think that's his fight. And I think Iron Man is the one who's forced to live a real life because for him, that would be the hardest thing to do.
mm,
Dying is easy for him. He's tried to kill himself for fucking 15 years by the time that last one comes out. Like, to me, that's the arc. You know, that
yeah.
makes more sense. Um,
That did not answer
and
my question.
but let me get there. Let me get there. So I think you don't give him love interest. I think he has to like end up alone. I think he has to eventually
Okay,
die
well,
alone. But
I'm
like
not talking about the MCU though. I'm just saying
no.
like,
Captain America in general. Like to
mm,
me, the version in my brain because everyone has a version of these characters in their brains. I don't think Captain America needs like a long term love interest. We're like Peter Parker and Mary Jane, you know, Lois Lane and Clark Kent. Like I don't think Captain America is that. He can have love interests. I'm not like anti that. And if he does end up with someone down the line, maybe even a new character someone makes up that becomes like an iconic new Captain America character, that's all fine and dandy. I just don't see that for him.
mm,
If they gave me like a manuscript right now and they're like, write a Captain America story. One, I wouldn't know what story to tell. But two, I definitely wouldn't know what to do romantically with him.
dude, Bucky is right there. Anyway,
Ah, fuck, you're right.
whatever happened to Emily Van Camp, who
That's a
played
good
Sharon
question.
Carter? Because
It's a very good
they
question.
kind of just dumped her from the movies.
They forgot.
Did they just straight up forget? Is that what happened?
I th- I think so. Because everything that they were like every character that showed up between like 2021 and last year basically. There was no sequels to any of those stories. Everyone just
Mm,
kind of got introduced and then they just did other stuff later.
yeah.
And they just I don't know. The last I heard because I didn't finish the Falcon Winter Soldier show. Um, I guess she's like an arms dealer now, and
Oh
she's
yeah,
working with someone.
she was on that. Oh my God, that's embarrassing. I watched that whole thing. I didn't remember that element of the fucking story at all.
Like I fucking
Jesus.
forgot I saw Thunderbolts in theaters. So like
Yeah,
these things just
which
do
we
that now.
you
It's
forgot
over.
it on the podcast where we did. Uh,
Yeah. That's just the effect those things have.
I will say now I was kind of just gonna pass by this joke, but I gotta say, fucking people fucking ship the fuck out of Bucky and Steve Rogers. I did not realize how popular that was until fairly
Oh
recently.
no, that was
I did
huge.
not realize. I knew people were into Bucky. I did not know it was Bucky and Steve. Um, but I don't know how
Yeah.
I missed that one. Normally I was
Yeah.
like
No,
like
I thought that's why you brought him up. I was like, oh okay, Matt.
I
Matt
I'm
knows the
definitely
lore.
I'm definitely aware of that. Like I'm definitely, but I didn't know it was I didn't. Yeah, it's called Stucky. They should have come up with a better name. But it's
um.
got its own Wikipedia page, which is how you know it's big.
Yeah.
How
Uh.
many gay
Yeah. I
ships
remember the Tumblr
have?
photo sets of that.
How many gay ships have Wikipedia pages?
Not enough.
There's Kirk and Spock.
Well, they're the OGs.
Mm. I went to John Locke, obviously. I went to look under the slash fiction category on Wikipedia, and like the third thing I got was Mpreg, so maybe I shouldn't go down
Oh
this
my god.
rabbit hole. Tweak
Yeah.
and
Oh, there's a
Craig
lot of
from
that with
South
Superman
Park.
and Lex Luthor.
Well, obviously there's gonna be that, but
Yeah.
you know, Tweak and Craig were like shipped so hard they just made them a gay couple on South Park.
Oh wait, really? No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the story is um they were South Park used to be like really engaging with their fans, and they might still be. I'm not sure what it's like these days because I don't watch it as regularly. But they were like, there's a lot of fan art of Tweek and Craig together, and they were like, oh, there's a lot of fan art of Tweek and Craig together. So then they just were like, that's funny, let's just do it on the show. And they've been a couple since like 2015.
Well, good for them.
And then even in one of the video games, one of the bonus missions is collecting yaoi art of Tweak. I believe they're still
Wow.
together. They did that whole what do you call it? Um they did the future episode where they jumped in everyone's future, and they were still together in that. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't see any of that, but
all I know is that
that's interesting.
to be like, I don't want to give South Park too much credit because I believe part of it was the joke of being like, look how progressive we are. We even have a gay character now, um, which is one of the jokes they were doing in 2015. Um,
Mm.
so the Wikipedia pages for ships are Destiel from Supernatural, which we all know how
Oh,
that worked out.
apologies to all the Destial
Yeah,
heads.
yeah. That might be the funniest ever.
Yeah, I mean that invented the term queer baiting, right?
Oh, no, it had been around before that, but it is just the ultimate version of
Yeah,
queer
maybe that's
baiting.
what I mean. Yeah, yeah.
It's just like if you're going to think about it, because it was really like they were basically queer baiting it the whole time, and then, although here's something, most of the queer baiting never acknowledged it. Destiel actually is canon in a weird way,
Yeah. And then he
because because
dies.
because Castiel confessed that he loved Dean and then died and went to super hell because that was the deal with the devil or some bullshit. And then it's never acknowledged again, which is probably what makes it queer baiting. Um,
What a
so
show.
Destiel is one. Um, what's Drary, which is Draco and Harry. Um,
Okay, I could
so
see that.
yeah, there's John Locke, which is um, Sherlock Holmes and John Watson.
Hmm.
That is the ultimate queer baiting thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Kirk and Spock. Larry's. I don't know what this one. Oh, it's Larry Styles and some other guy from One Direction. So those are real people.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I don't know how I feel about that.
Scorbus. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but that is Albus Potter and Scorpius Malfoy, that's their kids from the Cursed Child, right?
Hmm.
Um, so uh, there's Stucky. Um, there's Thasmin, which is I guess is started around the 13th Doctor, um, which is
Okay.
the woman. Um, so um, oh God, all right, we have to stop here. The other is Wolfstar, which is Remus, Lupin, and Sirius Black, which that one was just happening. They just never talked about it. And Wincest, which is the
Oh, well,
incestuous
no.
pairing from Supernatural.
Oh,
So we're gonna
no.
stop. We're gonna stop at that
Nope.
one. We're gonna stop there.
Anyways, something else I really like about the Captain America movie.
So you learned the proper filmmaking books to read from this episode, and the most popular ships in fandom.
You're welcome, everyone.
We're doing God's work, Diego.
Robert Scott Powlin plays Tadzio DeSantis, also known as the Red Skull,
Hmm.
and he is doing full Dracula level Euro trash.
Hmm.
This guy, I think, fucking rules in this movie. I love his performance. It is so camp, but it's also like very real. The
Yeah.
culmination of his arc, where he's like he has this piano in his fortress
Oh, the
of
piano's
war
amazing.
crimes.
The whole piano thing is amazing.
It's
So
that got a little bit of a chuckle when they first cut to it in the theater. And then by the end, everyone's just locked in. Where it's just like, no, it is fucking sad. This guy wasted his life doing the like fulfilling the nightmare that was thrust upon him as a child, and he
yeah,
never got to like fulfill anything else. And so he just plays his sad song, and then dies. And it's like
say that.
it's fucking good.
Yeah, and I will say one problem with the. I don't know if this is both versions or just the work print, but the score isn't bad, but you kind of want a more rousing score when the action is happening, right? And it's still kind of doing the really melancholic score, even like when Captain America's like throwing that shield around and stuff when he's invading the base and stuff. You want a little bit more excitement going on at the end, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, despite that, I think it's very good. And again, it's work print, so again, work in progress. None of this was ever finalized. To the point where the theatrical cut, the music is very different, and it is much more rousing. But it's like a misplaced rousing because the whole
Yeah,
movie ends up being misplaced. You know, it ends on the theatrical ends on a close up of his face as he's staring into the camera.
Mr.
Remember, like it's
President,
just fucking
thanks.
it's it's so no. It's one after.
Oh
It's
yeah.
the most
Oh.
awkward fucking thing of all time.
Mm.
It sucks, but the original compositions were they're uncredited at the moment. They haven't been able to track down who officially did it, but according to Justin Decloux, the Albert Pune head who was instrumental in the work print's release, he thinks that it's his regular collaborator, Tony Ripperetti, who did a lot of Pune scores. So
Mhm.
that would explain like the synthiness of it,
Yeah.
because that was the trend at the time, and obviously cheaper than a big
Yes.
orchestral thing. Um,
Did you ever
but
hear?
yeah, so
Speaking of canon films, did you ever hear the story about like they wanted they wanted a they wanted to score like Poltergeist, I think, for Life Force or something. Um,
that's hilarious.
and they were like, one of them was like, we need a score like Poltergeist, and the guy's like, we can't afford that. That's 100-piece orchestra. He was like, you idiot, we hire 50 people and have them play it twice. So, that's canon
All
films,
right,
everyone.
guys. um, Let me see other stuff I want to mention. I don't know. I think this is a great movie.
I do
I
too.
really love it. I'm really
Yeah,
glad I saw it.
I would recommend it to basically anyone. I mean, it's if you can get if you can get a hold of the work print director's cut copy that's out there floating in the universe somewhere. Um, it's genuinely it's a solid fucking movie. It's a little the beginning's a little off because they're doing a lot and it's there's a lot of information that's given to you very quickly. Again, I think the main thing that the director's cut fails at is just other than like a couple sections where it just drags, there's like no action or anything really happening. Other than a lot of like dramatic stuff, which I get, but like, you probably want more out of that from a Captain America movie. The only real issue is I think it just this would not both versions are bad, but the version Pune shot would have been a really difficult sell to audiences in the late 80s, early 90s. Like, I just don't think it communicates who Captain America is, who Red Skull is, what the whole deal is with all these characters very well in the opening. But the solution to make it linear just made it a boring movie, right? So,
Hmm.
um, I don't know, maybe it would have played better to general audiences, but we'll never know at this point. That's my only hang up, and that's the only hang up of just like an issue that is no longer a problem, right? Like it doesn't matter how this would have played in the 80s, 90s because we're not there anymore. And this
Yeah,
movie already had its due, and now we just have what there is, and what there is a good movie. So,
yeah. Everyone should check it out. I mean, I mean, just check out Albert Pune stuff as well. I want to give a special shout out to Powell Robinson and Patrick R. Young, who assembled the Big Bad Film Festival. That's their baby, their pride and joy. They're going to do it every year in August in Glendale, as long as they can, because they're the ones who basically got the green light to do a work print premiere on the West Coast, and
mm,
I wouldn't have been able to watch it had they not done that. And they cleaned up some things here and there, and maybe worked on the grade a little bit as well. And it, even with the bumps and scratches and everything like that, it was a really beautiful projection experience. And it was just really great to watch it with people that like got the movie. There was no snickering or laughing at any inappropriate times. Like everyone was there to like lock the fuck in for like this movie that basically took 30 years to get released. Over
Yeah.
30 years to get released properly. And I think the movie, it's not just like out of respect for someone who's no longer with us, an artist. I think the movie just speaks for itself. Like, that all aside, it is just a good movie about a superhero character who never got the chance to be a superhero. It's
Hmm.
there's that super heroic. I think you talked about wish fulfillment when we were doing the Doctor Strange 2 episode a while back, right? Like the power
Hmm.
fantasy elements of it. That movie is addressing like, okay, like who determines who even has power at this point, right? This is the Captain America 1990 is a story about someone who gained power, failed at wielding it, and has the chance to not just redeem themselves, but to actually make a mark on the world for the better. And what I find just so sweet, that little kid, the first person, the only person who really believed in him, the last person who even knows who he is, ends up being the president of the United States, and then they get to like save the world together. Like that's just such a great kids movie like plot, you
Hmm.
know? Like it's just
No,
so
it
sweet.
is great. And again, it is that thing of like it is so awkwardly handled in the theatrical cut. Like that element of it where when you watch how it plays in the theatrical cut where it's just like you were the little boy, like it's so awkward how it is handled that way, right? But when they're the framing
Yeah.
device of the movie essentially, it really works. It's an absurd element, but it's a genuinely touching one. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, this movie deserves this deserves to be recognized. Pune deserves a lot more flowers than he got in his lifetime. Um, and I guess here's the question: what would you recommend people check out of Albert Pune's work? Because I feel like he's still kind of a like off the beaten path type director.
Yeah, Sword and the Sorcerer is the obvious one. If you could track it down, Radioactive Dreams, there's always a copy or two on
Hmm.
YouTube. I've never
Yeah,
seen it in better quality than that, so someone's got to do a proper release of that.
I watched most of these
Vicious
on the
Lips,
Sci-Fi Channel, so don't worry about quality. Like you will get stuff out of it. Like I would love to have high quality versions of it, but my introductions to them were far from high quality. So
yeah, Vicious Lips you recommended. Dull
Vicious
Man.
Lips, Vicious Lips, I love. I don't know if I can recommend it. Don't start with Vicious
Okay,
Lips because it's
no,
just
no,
a
no, don't,
very
no.
strange film.
Um, Mean Guns, just because it's a lean like action thriller. It's very well directed. I think that movie is got a nice
I'll
vicious
have to check that one out.
entertainment to it. Um, Nemesis, I think, is the one people are going to vibe with the most. Again, a lead actor who's maybe not the best choice, and I would argue significantly worse than Matt Salinger in Captain America.
All right.
But it almost like it doesn't matter. It's fucking, it is unbelievable the action he pulls off with like such little money in Nemesis. And then Nemesis 2, which is like if a Terminator fought a Predator. That is
Yeah.
not overselling that movie. Nemesis
That's
is better, but Nemesis 2 is pretty fucking wild.
yeah. I also like
Oh, also
Kickboxer.
Arcade. I think people will like Arcade.
Arcade's fun. Arcade's one of those ones
Yeah.
though where they got sued. But I also shout out to the Kickboxer films. I think he only did 1 and 4 though. Um,
He did 2.
oh, he did two too.
Yeah, he did Kickboxer
Okay,
2
so he only doesn't do
and
three.
4.
Um,
Yeah.
well, 1 and 4 are the good ones anyway. So
And then we mentioned Cyborg already. Alien from LA if you have kids. Or you want to
yeah.
watch a really creative kids movie.
Or if you
Um,
can always do if you're a little iffy on it, there's a Mystery Science Theater version of Alien from LA. Um, so
oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm a fan, but I kind of get people being like, what the fuck?
yeah.
Like, this is the absolute last thing because we got to wrap up. Uh, Albert Pune loves the city of Redondo Beach as much as I do because the final shot of his version of Captain America, I have been to that beach more times than any other beach in my life. I have family there. I spent a lot of summers there, so there was a lot of. I hold a certain reverence to that scenery as well, and it's an Alien from L.A. as well in the beginning and the ending of that movie. Like that boardwalk, I've been to countless times. I'm still there like almost every other week at some point. So just yeah, shout out Albert Pune, Captain America. Go watch it. Matt, thanks for joining me today. This
No
was a
problem.
really
This was
good
great.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where can people find you on Blue Sky?
Emperor OTN on Blue Sky, although the CEO of that place has been crashing out all fucking week. So, I don't know if you've been following that story. Uh, but who knows what's going on over there. Uh, but yeah, that's basically where you can find me, or on Letterboxd, I guess, is the other place. Although I don't post there as much as I used to. Um,
All right. Yeah, and then
what's so
I'm
fucking funny
using.
about that, huh?
Sorry.
Just fucking, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm on Blue Sky as the Waffle Press, and the Waffle Press is still available on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, Patreon. I'm going to do my best to be streaming more. I'm having internet problems right now, but I think my internet, like our recording, didn't really have any problems today. I
No,
think
we didn't
last
have
time we had to
any.
like kind of start and stop.
Yeah.
Okay, so depending on, I don't know what the fuck the problem is. I need to call the provider again to figure it out. But I want to be streaming stuff like now. So if that happens, maybe I'll be streaming
And
the
maybe
week
I'll
of this
pop
recording.
in one of these days when you're streaming just to fuck with you.
Yeah, yeah, do it. We should stream together. I want to do more streaming in general.
I do
Just
too.
it's a fun way to interact.
I've run into some issues on my end that I can't solve yet. So, that I've been getting and that have basically stopped streaming from happening. But if I can solve them, it'll happen. So,
Yeah, those
uh,
sons of bitches.
yeah, fuck
All
everyone,
right, thanks for
Diego.
listening. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. We have been professionally unprofessional.
Bye.